We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Oh, it's Saturday night, isn't it? And this is the Saturday 5, the UK's biggest Saturday night TV show. I'm Alexander, along with Alexander Jones, Lizzie Cundy, Trey Lowe and Kai Wilshaw. Tonight on the show, Britain has taken a stand and Westminster should be terrified.
The Tories are absolute toast.
Starmer has gone soft on sentencing again.
Kemi isn't the problem, politics is. And Angela Rayner is the Prime Minister we desperately need.
I don't know about that. It's 6 p.m. and this is the Saturday 5, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday 5. First up, some breaking news.
You're joking. Not another one?
Boris Johnson has had another child. Yes, another one. Not another one, as she says. To celebrate the news, we've been sent a sketchy video reportedly showing all of Boris's children arriving at the hospital to congratulate the couple. Just keep on coming, Dave. Just keep on coming. Yes, and rumours are stirring. That Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper were up very early this morning celebrating the news that the French have finally stopped and detained 2 boats speeding through their waters. But celebrations were sadly cut short as GB News exclusively revealed that they weren't illegal migrants, were they? Just 2 British fishing boats trying to make a penny. And beep, 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 that's the sound of the police. Yes, the police are even more active than ever, solving a severe uptick in crime on London streets. They arrested a Jewish man for holding up a satirical placard of a Hezbollah terrorist. Well, spurious rumours suggest protesters around the man were peacefully chanting jihad and intifada. And as Donald Trump slaps a 50% tariff on the EU, the faceless bureaucracy has called for respect and not threats. Very suspicious reports claim the president has got back to the EU saying, the EU is delusional, completely delusional. In fact, I'm calling your president Ursula von der Lulu. Finally, Keir Starmer's deportation programme has kicked up a notch again, following more abysmal polling in the wake of reform storming ahead in the polls. The Prime Minister is rumoured to be restarting a policy from 1788, the deportation of those not welcome here to Australia. Very sad to say that our very own Willie Kingston was among those put up for deportation after he was found with very Brexity things in his flat. Stepping in for Dr. Renee this week is the fabulous Lizzie Cundy. She was just snapped having a boozy brunch with ex-Neighbours star Holly Valance. Valance's husband, of course, is Nick Candy. Have you heard of him? Yeah. Nigel's right-hand finance man. So it's left us speculating, is Lizzie making a run for Prime Minister in the future? PM Cundy. And also joining us for the first time is Reform Councillor Alexander Jones. As we tend to roast people on the show, he almost would be sitting here with a bigger title, but he lost his mayoralty election by almost the same amount of votes as the people sitting at this table. And joining me as ever is BBC star, I always do this, a BBC star, BBC star, Apprentice star, Trey Lowe, with his common sense politics, and Kai Wilshaw, the wokest Welshman in and out of Wales. Of course, you know I love reading your views out on this show. Please send them in, gbnews.com/yoursay. And don't forget to get your questions in for Ask the Five. And people who complain that say I don't read them out, I do. I do it every week. You're just not watching long enough. Ooh. And also, while you're at it, vote in our poll. Today, we're asking you what you want us to scrap over. So, here's the options. Chemical castration. Should we be chemically castrating all prisoners? 1. 2. Prince Harry. Should we respect his privacy or should we release his visa documentation? 3. Rail nationalisation. Should we keep on nationalising those railways? Head to gbnews.com/poll to vote. But before we start tearing each other apart, here's your Saturday night news.
Thank you. I'm Bethany Elsey. Here's your top stories at 6:04. A man has been arrested on suspicion of murder after a mother and 3 of her children died in a house fire in northwest London. Met police officers were called to assist firefighters at the address in Tillet Close and Stonebridge near Wembley in the early hours of this morning. A 43-year-old woman, a 15-year-old girl and 2 boys aged 8 and 4 died at the scene. A further 2 members of the same family, a woman in her 70s and a teenage girl, are being treated in hospital. 2 terraced 3-storey homes were gutted in the fire. A 41-year-old man was arrested at the scene and remains in custody. Superintendent Steve Allen says they're working to establish the cause of the fire.
I recognise the significant impact this incident has had on the community. We are working closely with the local authority partners and will have officers in Tillet Close throughout the day. I would ask anyone with information about what happened to contact us by calling 101 or speaking to officers at the scene.
French authorities have been condemned for detaining 2 British fishing boats in the English Channel. In the latest enforcement operation, a French patrol vessel intercepted and seized a UK trawler off the Baie de Somme for fishing without the required licence. The incident happened on Thursday, just hours after a record number, 825 migrants crossed illegally into UK waters. In an interview with GB News, the Shadow Home Secretary accused Sir Keir Starmer of selling out British fishermen and surrendering UK fishing rights to the EU. At least 14 people have been injured in Ukraine's capital in a major Russian missile and drone attack. Ukraine's Air Force says Russia launched 250 drones and 14 ballistic missiles against Kyiv, causing fires in residential buildings. It was one of the biggest combined aerial assaults on the city since the war began. The barrage came hours after Ukraine and Russia each exchanged more than 300 prisoners of war. It was the second swap under a deal agreed after talks in Turkey. The European Union's trade chief says they are committed to securing a trade deal with the US based on respect, not threats. It comes after President Donald Trump called for a going nowhere. The announcement marks an escalation of Donald Trump's trade war with the EU, which currently has a 10% tariff on all goods being brought into America. The NHS is to open dozens of specialist mental health crisis centres across England over the next decade. The new service will be staffed by specialists and will take walk-ins as well as patients who are referred by GPs and police. The aim is to keep those who are experiencing a mental health crisis, such as suicidal thoughts or psychosis, out of crowded A&E departments. NHS England says the new units will also relieve pressure on emergency services, including the police. And Sunderland will play in the Premier League next season after beating Sheffield United 2-1 in the Championship playoff final at Wembley. Substitute Tommy Watson scored the winner in the 5th minute of extra time to seal a dramatic 2-1 comeback. Sunderland haven't been in the top flight of football since the 2016-17 season, which ended a 10-year stay in the elite division. Those are the latest GB News headlines. More from me in an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
It's Saturday night and you're with the Saturday Five. Where else would you rather be? Over the next 3 hours, the biggest debates, hottest topics and entertaining interviews. Quickly, before we get on, I just want to read a couple of your comments, because I always do this. Grumpy Grandad, who was one of our show's favourites, he loves you. Kai was great last week. That beaver suit did more for his career than anything he's ever said on TV. Ain't that the truth?
So true. I can believe that.
Lucia says, good evening, Alex. I hope you're over your bad cold and feeling great now. I wasn't very well last week, but we still made it through the show. I was all right. It was okay.
You were great.
I'm feeling there. I'm back to my full self, don't worry. Right, I'm going to kick us off. Well, today, the country sent a message. And it wasn't whispered, was it? It was roared. From Doncaster to Dover, thousands of everyday Brits stood up and said, enough is enough. This was the Great British National Strike. And despite the media blackout, despite the political snobbery, it happened, didn't it? From the north to the south. In towns, the media usually can't even pinpoint on a map these days. Thousands took to the streets, not activists, not ideologues, just proud Brits who desperately want their country back. They're demanding an end to illegal immigration, net zero, inheritance tax, political attacks on our farmers, a national inquiry into the rape gangs, and to put a stop on the endless attacks on free speech and the undeniable two-tier justice taking over this country. These are all sensible things, aren't they? And let's be clear, this wasn't some fringe uprising, some far right, as they would call it. This was the voice of the voiceless. Plumbers, pensioners, nurses, truckers, all marching together. You won't see it on the BBC, only here on GBNews. We're reporting it earlier on today. You won't hear it praised in Parliament. You won't hear a debate like Gaza in Parliament. But this was a turning point. A polite, rule-abiding, patriotic people finally losing patience with a political class that has taken them for fools for far too long. The message is crystal clear. The working classes have had enough of voting for change and getting continuity instead. And I think the political elite should be worried. And talking of political woke elites, we've got one here tonight, haven't we, Kai? An Oxbridge leftist on the panel.
All right.
You know, these are ordinary folk. These should be your core Labour voters.
Yeah.
These are the people you should be talking to. And they're out saying they've already had enough of your government. It's only been 10 months.
But where does that lead, Alex, right? Because this week actually marked a year since Rishi Sunak stood out there in the rain, who could forget, sodden, and announced the general election last year. Now, we had an incredible landslide for the Labour Party, and we have a thing in this country called the Fixed Term Parliament Act, which means that we have 5 years, the Labour Party has 5 years to deliver on some of the difficult promises it's made. Now, if we decide that suddenly by dint of polling or by public opinion, government should be cast out after 1 year, then that leads to some odd places.
Government, hang on. Your government has gone back on almost every single one of its manifesto pledges.
That's not true.
It's U-turning like a car going 90 miles an hour down a motorway that needs to get back the other way.
That's not true.
Trey, listen, you're common sense bloke. You're one of what I would say many just ordinary people in the country. How do you feel? Do you feel this is continuity previous government?
Yeah, it is. It's all the same. I mean, that's literally what I'm going to be speaking about later.
Fixed Term Parliament Act has been repealed by them.
Nothing really changes, isn't it? It doesn't matter who's been in power. It's a two-party system, and it's the same thing. People don't feel listened to. People don't feel heard. And I don't know why they keep doing it. Clearly, it's not working anymore. Like, people have woken up and they're like, we want to be heard. But politicians are still trying to do business as usual. Yeah. We'll get away with it. And that's one of the reasons why I'm glad about reform. Not that I'm necessarily a reform voter in any way, shape, form. I haven't voted in absolutely ages, but I love the fact that they're actually shaking things up and having people think for themselves. Right. So now they have to listen to ordinary people.
Lizzie?
Look, come on, we've got to say, the Labour government have got in on a lie. They've lied and lied and lied. They haven't told the truth. They were going to say they were going to be the party without the cronyism. And then, you know, we had Freebie-gate. We had all of that with Lord Ali. There's been one thing after another. They didn't tell us about the pensioners, what they were going to do. They didn't tell us what they were going to do to the farmers. And that's why, if you were to come to my local pub and listen to real working people who are being affected by this government, they are a disgrace. And I'm afraid they've lied to us. And they only got into power, you have to admit, because the Tory party was such a disaster.
OK. Alexander, you know, obviously Keir Starmer's not here to defend himself. He wouldn't say he's lied. He'd say this is what I always planned to do and this is what we're getting on with the job of governing. Your party, the Reform Party, is speeding ahead in the polls. No experience governing, though. Do you think it'll be a car crash if Reform won the general election tomorrow with no political experience? Would this similar continuity end up happening? Because the bureaucracy would just take over, wouldn't it?
I would say absolutely not. I think we're electing real, normal, genuine people who people can trust, and that's why we're surging in the polls at the moment. It's nice you mentioned Doncaster on there as well, because I know the good people of Doncaster, and I know that, frankly, most of them are fed up, hence why we voted in a majority in my hometown as well.
Almost got the mail to you, almost. Kai?
I think we do live in a world, right, at the minute, especially with social media and the increasing media cycle, where opinions are changed very quickly, right? This happened in 2019 when the Conservatives, the last time the Conservatives were fourth in polling was June 2019. Now, fast forward to December 2019, they had a 80-seat majority led by Boris Johnson in the House of Commons. This just goes to show you can't decide based on public opinion, which changes incredibly more frequently, who should be in government.
Well, Labour are doing pretty badly. It's a pretty bad start.
Of course, but give it 5 years. Give it 5 years.
We don't want to.
That's what we don't.
We don't want seconds. Let's cross that with 60 days. Anyway, there's 2 weeks left to get your entry into the biggest Great British giveaway today. Your chance to win that beautiful brand new motorhome worth 67 grand. Here's all the details you'll need for a chance to win.
Someone is going to win the biggest prize package to date, and that someone could be you, driving away in this Elnag Baron 560 motorhome, courtesy of Marquis Leisure. It has plenty of room for your family of 4, comes complete with kitchen, bathroom and all the space you'll need for life on the road. And the best news? You can drive it on your existing driving licence. Plus, we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Don't delay. You can't win if you're not in the draw. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck, everybody. Still to come tonight, a new poll puts the Conservative Party in 4th place for the first time. Can the Tories ever recover from this electoral massacre? But next, Kai, what is your hot take tonight?
Well, I'm saying that the red-haired, red rose-toting bombshell Angela Rayner is the Prime Minister we desperately need.
Oh, please do not switch off. Don't. We'll give it to him, I promise. You're with the Saturday 5 live on GB News.
Nigel is back.
Good evening.
Unfiltered.
Are these proposals bold enough?
Uncompromising.
Will it bring growth?
Unmissable.
We as a country are brilliant.
Nigel Farage returns. Coming soon. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point.
He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5. Don't forget to get in touch with me, gbnews.com/your say. I have them right here. Let me read a couple out for you guys. Jennifer says, Kai, we need Angie's PM like we need a hole in the head. Pretty sound. We love your say. Dr. Right Wing, should I say? Leave Starmer alone. He's doing a great job recruiting for reform. Yep.
Dr. Right Wing. I thought you were going to say Dr. Renee.
Freddie reminds you, Kai, has Kai obviously forgotten that Boris got his 80-seat majority because the Brexit Party stood down all its candidates and was swiftly betrayed by Boris. There, short memory those lefties, haven't they? Anyway, now it's time for our next debate. Who's up next?
Well, that's me. Shall we get this over and done with?
Yes.
I'm arguing today that Angela Rayner is the Prime Minister this country desperately needs. Now, Angela Rayner wouldn't just ruffle feathers, she would upend the staid, aristocratic norms of Westminster politics. Let me remind you a bit of a British record. Oxford, 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 Oxford. Edinburgh, Oxford, none, Oxford, none, Oxford, 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 Oxford. Yes, that's the university education of some of our most recent prime ministers. Now, Angela Rayner was raised in poverty. She was a mum and a carer at 16 and in a union position at 30, a senior union position. Now, if she walks into 10 Downing Street, she won't as much bring working-class grit and guts as put paid to the Farage fallacy that only reform can represent the working class. Now, her experience as a minister also shows her record, spearheading 1.5 million homes, her planning and infrastructure bill, and also the incredible employment rights given to workers, the best in a generation. So, yes, the red-haired bombshell is the Prime Minister we next need. After Keir Starmer, of course, I should say.
Oh, there it is, isn't it? There it is. This is what he really wanted all along, his far-left, loony friends to take over. This is what this whole plan was, wasn't it? Well, let them... Because they couldn't do this with Blair, could they? They couldn't do it with Blair. You couldn't get him out of office and get Browning quick enough. But now you see the blood in the water, don't you, Kai? This is where you really wanted to...
No.
Statism, high taxes. What a disaster that would be. Trey, again, what do you make of Angela Rayner?
Do you know what?
She's good for the country?
It's funny as you're saying that you're talking about working class, but I just think it's more identity politics. It's like, so what?
Exactly.
Do you know? The fact that she's working class and all the rest of it doesn't matter. My thing is, would anything differ? And I doubt it. That's the first thought that comes to my head.
Do you really think that? With Angela Rayner?
Just because she's not Oxbridge?
But do you see her and think, that's a regular politician? No, you don't. No, you don't.
I don't. Well, if that wasn't the case, then Labour wouldn't have lost so much to reform, would they? If people, because she represents Labour Party.
She's not the Prime Minister.
Doesn't matter, but she's a prominent member of the Labour Party, and it didn't make any difference.
Alexander, well, I can only imagine what you make of her being a reform councillor. But go on, let's hear it from the horse's mouth.
I think she's a bit more charismatic than Keir, definitely.
True.
But I don't think
That's not hard. Let's just put that. Like, the wooden tops.
Yeah, I think whoever they put in, I think the turquoise wave is coming in 29.
Do you think she'd lose her seat? She's, I think that I remember speaking to the candidate there. Do you think she might lose her seat?
I think there's a strong possibility looking at the polls. I mean, we're at 32%, and I think that's one of them. It's a bit of squeaky bum time in her seat.
Yeah, Lizzie.
She's one of the reasons why Labour are doing so appallingly, as you knew, in the local elections. Keir Starmer truly got those freebie pants pulled down. Look, I'm afraid, Rayner, for me, she's everything I can't bear. She wants to tax. There's, you know, this is why all of our multi-millionaires, 24,000 of them, are leaving this country. You know, and it's not right. She's not making Britain great again. She's putting it on its knees.
So, I mean, Kai, this week, of course, we had the Rayner memo leaked to the public. I don't call it a memo. I think it's more of a manifesto, isn't it, really? This is her... I mean, these leaks, as you know, having been working around politics for a long time, and as I know, having worked in politics too, leaks only happen when politicians want them to. And it certainly wasn't Rachel Reeves leaking it, was it? It was coming from Rayner's team. It's basically... Come on, you're smirking. Don't play the public for fools. Come on, you're on national telly. Was it a leak? Is she going to try and out Sama?
I'm not going to sit here accusing the Deputy Prime Minister
but you want to.
and Secretary of State for Housing, Levelling Up and Community. Anyway, I'm not going to say that it was her who leaked it. It was very convenient. And actually, yes, you talk... Lizzie, you talk about tax rises and that Angela Rayner would be sort of the leftist wave that Keir Starmer could never be. But actually, some of the things in that memo, things about depriving migrants of some of the benefits that they currently get, that shows an incredibly sensible, moderate politician who maybe has taken her ideals and her principles that have been moderated by actually being a minister.
Look, there's nothing moderate
about
her.
Done.
I'm sorry, nothing. She wants to be like Bob the Builder and build all over our green, pleasant land.
Well,
somebody needs to do.
I think what that shows is someone running scared, really, isn't it? That's what I don't like about a lot of modern politics. It's almost like, that's what they're doing. Where's the wind blowing? OK, let's do a bit of that. It doesn't feel like conviction. It doesn't feel authentic.
Hang on.
It doesn't feel real.
I'm calling the time out because we've got to move on before everyone in the country switches this channel off. Who's going up next? I believe it might be you, Alexander, actually. Do you want to kick us off?
I think the Tory party is finished. We've seen them slip to 4th in the polls nationally. They're even behind the Lib Dems now. I think they've got an uncharismatic leader in Kemi, with Robert Jenrick waiting in the wings. But I think regardless of the leader, things won't change. And I think they're truly scared of the reform wave that's coming at the next general election.
Yeah, I actually think there's a big problem with the Conservative Party. It's been brewing for a while. I mean, Troy, what do you make of this? I feel like the Conservative Party lost its identity. When you say the words Conservative, what is it that we mean by that? They can't seem to find those values anymore.
They went wishy-washy blue. They forgot what Conservative is really about. And we just didn't know what they were and what they stood for anymore. And that's why they did so appallingly. And I'm afraid there's no way back for them. I agree with you totally. The Tories are toast.
I agree. There's no conviction anymore, isn't it? Like, even if I don't agree with you, I want to feel like you mean it. You know, you want to see some charisma, like some real depth to it. And it's not, again, it's just finger in the wind. What's cool? What do people want? OK, we'll go with that. You're right. Conservatives should be about family values, should be about tradition, rest of it. But it's like, well, where do they stand? And it got to the point, like, Tories, Labour, there wasn't much difference. And people can see that. Whereas Reform, love them or not, however you feel, you know exactly what they stand for. And that's what's attractive to people.
Yeah, you know, I know what you probably make of the Conservative Party, Kai. You're probably popping champagne bottles when they lost that massive landslide to Labour. Obviously, as we know, Labour weren't exactly popular, less votes than Jeremy Corbyn in the last election, but at the same time, the Tories the vote clearly just collapsed. That's why you guys won. Do you think you're going to be just as unpopular?
Can I just say, first of all, we didn't just win because the Tories imploded.
You did.
But you can't say that about such a...
Because the vote share was down. The vote share was down. Mathematically, you did lose because the Tories lost. Because the vote share was down, your vote was lower, the Tories' vote completely collapsed.
Hardly anyone
how much of a seat majority do you want to prove that people actually did go out there
Simple mathematics, I show that when vote shares drop, that the threshold for majority goes higher. This is simple mathematics.
Will Kingston is not here, so I won't be lectured on mathematics on this show. Look, yes, this was... The story behind this is YouGov having this poll that Tories have had their lowest ever poll rating. Now, as much as I want to say the Tories are toast, and I wish they were, never say never in British politics. Stranger things have happened. As I said earlier, you know, there was a poll in 2019, in June 2019, that showed a similarly bad poll rating, and yet they bounced back. So will they be able to counter the reform wave? I don't think they will this time, but don't count them out, just in the way that people shouldn't count Farage out.
I will never count Farage out. He's going to be our next Prime Minister.
Well, can I ask you this? Because Robert Jenrick is seen as the leader in the wings. I mean, I think everyone can just say that by him plainly, even I think the people who are Conservative Party members might feel that way. Would someone like Robert Jenrick scare Nigel Farage and the Reform Party?
I don't think so, because I think they're just completely paralysed because they can't lean to the left because the Lib Dems have taken on the left-wing vote. They can't lean to the right because Reform's clearly planted their flag very firmly on the centre-right. So they're paralysed in the middle. They've got nowhere to go.
Yeah,
I just can't see a way back from
And I just don't think people can forgive them for 14 years of lying. And they botched Brexit, so many things, stopped the boats, all the in-house fighting, all the different leaders. I don't think people can forgive them for what they've done.
Trey, what would it take for someone like you? You said you didn't vote in the last few elections. What would it take for you to go and put your cross against the Tory box?
So for me, I'm definitely like someone that's in the centre, and I think it will take someone that's a charismatic leader. They don't seem to have that anymore in politics anywhere.
Do you think Robert Jenrick's that man in the
No, not really. Come on, you know. You'd have to be at the level of Nigel. I mean, love him or not, you know who he is. Same like Trump, you know who he is. It's like, who's going to, fit in those shoes? But it's got to be someone of conviction. Like, I just know where they stand, I know who they are. Not someone's like, oh, the wind's blowing that way. Oh, Reform's getting bigger. Let's do a bit of this. Well,
Nigel Farage is, of course.
I just don't believe in it.
Many people have accused Nigel Farage of swinging in different directions. Obviously, he did that interview here with GB News with Stephen Edgington, saying he wasn't pro-mass deportations, didn't think they were politically possible. But he has changed on that again.
He doesn't swing that far, though. So broadly speaking, I know he's going to be that way on a Monday, on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, and he's going to be the same.
Totally
the others, I'm like, where are they going to be next week? Where are they going to be the week after? I don't know. I have no faith in that.
Keir Starmer's done more U-turns, let's be honest. I mean, he is king of the flip-flops. He really is. He really...
think about Thatcher, right? This lady's not for turning. Look at the difference. You don't get that anymore.
And Keir Starmer is only changing his mind on the pensioners because he knows Reform are there above, in the polling. He's scared.
And he's doing it so early. They've got so much more time.
Listen, I'll say on this topic, on the Tories, I'll say this. I don't think you can ever write the Conservative Party out.
Never.
I think we're moving to a multipolar world where there's lots of parties, maybe 5 or 6, that people vote for. The Greens are on the rise, by the way. They keep increasing their vote share. Worrying, I know, but they do. The Liberal Democrats are on a slight comeback. Worrying, I know. So, listen, I don't think you can ever write a party off. And the Conservative Party, of course, is the most well-established, most successful political party in history. That doesn't mean things can't change, though. The Labour Party, you've got that whopping majority, but as Boris saw, you can lose it very quickly, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But actually, the consequence of what you're talking about, a multi-party system, means that people have to change their minds, U-turn sometimes, compromise. And we need to get used to that, frankly, and Keir Starmer and his government are doing a good job.
Yeah, super fiery tonight, isn't it, on the panel? Still to come, is British politics suffering a major conviction drain? Well, you start to hear it here. Trey gives his take shortly, but next, Lizzie, what have you got for us?
Well, has Starmer gone soft on sentencing?
Oh, very good. You're with the Saturday 5 live on GB News.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Whilst western parts of the Mediterranean are having some largely fine weather, it's a different story in the east. Here we have the risk of some heavy showers, which could bring some thunder, even some high rainfall totals, causing problems across parts of Greece, Bulgaria and into Turkey as well. Like I said, though, further west, it's a drier picture, some showery bursts round, but also a decent amount of sunshine on offer. And in the sunshine, it's going to feel pretty warm, if not hot as well.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's been a bit of a drab day out there and it's going to turn increasingly wet and windy across northern areas before sunshine and showers and feeling a little bit fresher through Sunday. So taking a look at the bigger picture, we've got this area of low pressure moving in, a squeeze in the isobars indicating some strong and gusty winds. So it's an unsettled picture out there tonight with heavy spells of rain, most persistent and heaviest across Scotland, with strong gusty winds and perhaps some coastal gales. In between, there will be some clearer spells, but otherwise, generally, temperatures still holding up 10 to 12 degrees. So quite a mild start to start Sunday morning, but a
an unsettled start, especially across Scotland. Here we'll see the longest spells of rain, especially across northern parts of Scotland and Orkney and Shetland. Otherwise, further south, we may see some glimmers of sunshine first thing. Across Northern Ireland, it's a case of sunny spells and scattered showers through the morning. England and Wales generally much brighter than Saturday, but there is some patchy outbreaks of rain across the far southeast to start Sunday morning. That rain will clear its way through, turning drier and brighter across the southeastern parts of England, but elsewhere it is a day of sunny spells and frequent blustery showers. Some of the showers are going to be heavy, perhaps thundery, with some hail, especially across northern areas. Otherwise, for all of us, it is a fresher feel out there with a slight change in the wind direction, but in the sunshine, feeling pleasant, 22 degrees in the south and east. So generally not as mild to start Monday morning, but plenty of sunny spells to start. Then we'll see further showers across much of the country, driest across the east before further spells of rain come in to the west. And that's a similar picture on Tuesday and Wednesday, dry mixed with sunny spells, but generally temperatures highs of 21.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
What a fiery show we've got here on the Saturday 5 tonight. Don't forget to get in contact with me, gbnews.com/yoursay. We've got Ask the 5 coming up later, so that's when I really dig into your comments and your videos that you sent in to us. So keep them coming. And while you're at it, don't forget to go to gbnews.com/poll so you can vote in our Saturday scrap. We want you to decide what we're going to fight over in the next hour. But now it's time for our next debate. Who's going next?
It's me.
Go on then, Lizzie, take it away.
Has Starmer gone soft on sentencing? Once again, I'm afraid, folks, yes, he has. Violent offenders, this is rapists even, and sex offenders could be released early on their new policy. And over 443,000 criminals are set to dodge courts and they're going to just get a slap on the wrist. This seems madness. Remember those scenes we saw outside Wormwood Scrubs with criminals popping champagne, being picked up in their Lamborghinis? Well, yes, folks, that's going to be happening all over again. And yet he can put a mother inside jail for a tweet that she actually removed. She knew she did wrong, and that's why she removed it. But she is still in jail up to 31 months. This is a disgrace. And I tell you what, this is a reason why people will stop voting Labour.
Oh, shocking stuff, isn't it? This early release scheme has got to be one of the biggest betrayals of this tough law and order approach we got from Starmer pre-election. Kai, we're talking here about... I'm going to read some stats out here for you because I think the audience needs to know this. Yeah. 2,700 burglars, 11,000 shoplifters, 160 car thieves, 600 muggers, 80 robbers. These are based on 2024 sentencing figures. Have we just decriminalised crime?
No, and actually the reason why this is happening in a cross-party consensus is because prisons in the last few years have come very, very close to collapse. That's not something any of us want. Now, this policy is actually a result of a report undertaken by David Gauke, who was a former Justice Secretary of State under the Conservatives, and he blames penal populism and knee-jerk reactions by successive governments since the 1990s for the fact that our prisons are so overcrowded. Now, it's an issue that we can blame the Labour Party for, the Tories for. The question is what to do. And actually, yes, we can talk about murderers and sex offenders, But that's not really what this early release scheme targets. It's mainly people like burglars, shoplifters, knife offenders. And it is a trade-off. Do they get released, or do prisons collapse? And do we have to end up releasing more serious offenders?
I'm going to ask the panel, this is a very, very simple take, what they would do to ease the prison crisis. What would you do, Alexander?
We just need to build more prisons, for starters. I mean, that's the easy fix.
But how long will that take?
It will, but...
Hang on, you're not in charge of this show. Shut up, Lizzie.
Right, we've got 10,422 foreign prisoners in our jails. Send them back.
Send back the foreign criminals.
And do a deal then with those countries. Pay them something. It costs $57,000 a year to just place a prisoner.
Yeah,
This
is a simple solution.
It's simple.
This is a simple solution. Labour are going to add 14,000 places by 2031. We can already free up 10,800 of those spaces. Why don't we just deport them, Kai?
Actually, there's also other good things about this early release scheme.
Answer the question.
Things like increasing sentences.
Answer the question. Why don't we just deport them?
I'm not sure. I'm sure human rights lawyers could tell us. But the fact is, I'm sure, as you will all say, unless you get rid of the ECHR rules, then you can't do that. And that is the situation we've inherited.
I suspect probably it will take more time legally to deport people than it would to actually build new prisons, probably.
Well,
yeah, but I think we need 10,000 more free spaces in prisons. Why doesn't he start doing something?
One of the reasons why politically is that that we've got a lot of trials backlog. A lot of these prisoners haven't even had their trials yet. However, as we saw during the autumn of last year, when the Prime Minister wants trials to happen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the courts can sit, can't they, Alexander?
Yeah, I agree with Lizzie, to be honest. I think you can pay other countries to house those criminals, especially if they're nationals to that particular country. And it's a lot cheaper to keep them in prison over there. So it would make much more sense, and it'd be better for us as well. It gets them out of our system.
And can I just say, I work with a charity that help prisoners and get them back on track. And 56% of prisoners that have a 12-month sentence re-offend. They're not. There's something going drastically wrong.
But exactly, I totally agree with you. And one of the things that David Gork talks about in this report is the over-focus on locking people up and not investing in, for instance, rehabilitating people in the community for more minor crimes is one of the reasons we have so many people in prison. Now, we should be rehabilitating people in communities because that means that they don't go on to reoffend.
Well, look at Lucy Connolly. Look at that situation example. How disgraceful is that? And then Keir Starmer said he didn't know about it. Well, he must be living in a cave.
I think, you know what they should just do? Just let Lucy out for a start. Yeah. That would maybe be a place that they could start, because she clearly can be rehabilitated. She's not a criminal. No. She's not dangerous in that sense. She's clearly sorry for what she's done. And I think there's lots of other prisoners they could identify as these guys would work well with rehabilitation. You're right, we shouldn't keep locking people up, especially some of the young people. Why not rescue them? Because all university is just prison is just university for criminals, isn't it? Take them out and look after them. More youth centres, more guidance, more mentoring. There's lots of things you can do.
OK, just a GB News, your say comment here. Barrow Boy says, Tories didn't build enough prisons and allowed the rot in the system to set in through, though they didn't do as much as they'd like to have done. As much as I dislike Labour, can't all be at their door. I agree. The Tories really failed. Whilst they're importing millions of people, they fail to acknowledge the fact that crime goes up with population. Again, simple maths for all of us, but there we go, that's politics for you. Anyway, still to come tonight, English fishing boats intercepted in the Channel. Guess that, how much more can our fishermen take? But next, Trey, what have you got for us?
So, my one is Kemi isn't the problem, politics is. Let me explain, right? So let's talk again of removing Kemi.
You're coming back on in a second, mate. We're going to a break first.
Oh, you could have told me. He's so eager.
He's so
told me. I want to speak.
You're not going to miss it.
Come on.
He's ready to go. You're with the Saturday 5 Live on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date. Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Yeah, welcome back to the Saturday 5. We love your comments coming in tonight. There are loads of you getting involved on your side. I'll just read a couple out here. Talking about deportations of foreign criminals. Grumpy Grandad. It didn't take Trump long to start loading the planes, did it? No, he was doing it from day one. Incredible stuff. So when there's a will, there's a way, isn't there? Well, obviously, we need to get out of the ECHR. Diane says, France ignores the ECHR. Why don't we? France put someone who burnt a French flag on a plane the next day, despite him having a family and lived there for 22 years. Well done, France. It just doesn't add up, does it? This is the thing. You're all seeing the same things with your eyes and ears that I do. We're saying it. And for some reason, France can do it, but we can't. It's completely bonkers, isn't it? Susan says, it's happening, Kaya, because we have... This is about prison overcrowding. Because we have 11,000 foreign criminals taking up space, deport them. That is the consensus on your say. Anyway, so thank you for your messages. Keep them coming in. Don't forget, while you're there, vote for your Saturday scrap topic at gbnews.com/poll. We're closing that poll in 15 minutes, and you get to decide which all of us are going to debate which topic. Anyway, now it's time for our next debate. Up next, process of elimination. It's Trey.
Right. So... I want to talk about Kemi, right? Because I don't think Kemi's a problem. I think politics is the problem. So they're talking about removing Kemi because the Tories is basically a sinking ship. But let's be real, that ship was sinking long before she came on board, whether it was Boris, Rishi, Liz Truss, whoever it might be. And it won't matter who they throw in next, because the crisis isn't about leadership. It's about a complete lack of character. That's what the issue is. There's a lack of conviction, lack of integrity, lack of courage in our politics. You know, we've normalised politicians who dodge the truth. It's all about PR. It's all about comms, about algorithms and focus groups. But it isn't really about absolute conviction. This is what they stand for, and they're not for turning. I mentioned Thatcher earlier, whether or not you agree with her politics, or even if you go to someone like Kennedy or Mandela, you just knew where they were and what they stood for. Same with Nigel Farage, why she's doing so well. You know what he stands for. But in terms of the mainstream politicians, there is so much where they all flip-flop. They literally... finger in the wind, and where's the wind blowing? Where should we go? What should we do now? So, you know, what we need in this country, what we're crying out for, is a leader with conviction, a leader who does what they say and they mean what they do, and there's no concern about what the Twitter brigade says or what anyone else says. They just say what they do and they do it and they stick to it. And you know, what's in the manifesto is what they follow through with. We desperately need someone like that, and until we get someone like that, all that we're going to have is a lack of clarity. People are going to be flip-flopping all over the place. You'll get someone like me who's in the middle, not knowing who to vote for, whether it will make a difference, and it's just going to be business as usual. And the problem is that mainstream politicians have not been listening to the people.
Yeah, I think the Great British National Strike happened today, Lizzie.
Yeah.
I think that is a sign of exactly what Trey's talking about. They have voted time and time again. How many elections, a historic Brexit referendum to lower immigration, to take back control, and no one's listening.
No one's listening, and sadly, I mean, people thought Keir Starmer was going to be different, but he's the same. I mean, they call him like the Houdini. He goes missing and he's all slippery in the streets. He really is, and people want a leader to really lead, and I do think you need a bit of charisma. I'm afraid Kemi misses it at Prime Minister's question times. She has open goals, and she misses. Yeah. And we had the farmers protesting, outside at Whitehall. She didn't even mention them. She's not right for the Tories, I'm afraid.
Let's just broaden this out to other political party leaders as well, because we've got Ed Davey, who's sometimes polling higher than Kemi Badenoch, but when I watch his press interviews, he's on trampolines and in water parks. You just can't take the bloke seriously. But for some reason, Trey, his vote share seems, in some places, to be going up. How do we explain that?
I don't know. I think people are just scrambling for something. But I think when I think of politicians, I only literally think of Nigel Farage. It's funny, isn't it?
Interesting.
I don't... In terms of charisma, there's no one else left. I mean, yeah, you could argue Boris, but after what happened with the whole COVID thing, I just don't have any faith in that anymore. But there's not really anyone with charisma. Like Trump, I definitely don't agree with everything that Trump says. But you kind of know what he's going to say. He's got a personality. I mean, is it all about personality now? Is it personality conviction?
Well, let's ask Alexander, because your leader, of course, is probably seen as the most charismatic leader in the country. However, we are seeing the rise of people like Ed Davey, who have obviously just won loads of seats in the last election, more than Reform, of course, given the way that our political system works. Is there something to be said about maybe those quieter leaders that sneak up and you don't notice them and then they just win an election, like Keir Starmer did against the Tories?
I think the Lib Dems doing well isn't really down to Ed Davey. I think it's more they've got a very good grassroots movement, have the Lib Dems, especially in the south. They're very good at networking and obviously producing votes, especially down there. But I do think if you're going to select a lead, it has to be someone who has a lot of charisma, and Nigel Farage is a lightning rod, let's be honest.
Well, your party leader, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, has been cosplaying as Nigel Farage the last few weeks, hasn't he? Deportations here, we're talking about, cracking down on migrants, chemical castrations. What's going on? You've become the far right.
I mean, it's Keir Starmer.
Come on.
Am I mad? Or is your party now?
Do you just drop the mic out?
It's the wind thing, isn't it? Where's the wind blowing?
Nigel Farage is our biggest threat. We need to emulate what he's doing.
I can't believe the crock of manure that I've just heard, right?
That's very polite.
Now, look, you all will sit there and talk about how fakery and stunts like Ed Davey and comms is what you don't want, but then the Tories need a charismatic leader. You'll say that Keir Starmer, as we said earlier, is unpopular, so we need to jettison him. But then you say that what you don't like about politicians is the lack of conviction. Well, he's shown his conviction. You want a leader, but then you'll ignore things. You'll ignore Keir Starmer.
No, he does
the trade deals and Ukraine. Sorry, but you'll say one thing that sounds nice. Politicians lack conviction. Mainstream politicians are all rubbish. But you don't have the answers. And replacing leaders again and again, or trying to have a general election after a year, less than a year, is not the answer.
Do you know why I agree with Kai is this, right? I don't think Starmer...
I'm disagreeing with you.
No, I know, but this is why I agree with you, right? I don't think Starmer is the issue, because it's kind of the same. Is it only me that thinks that?
No.
Whether it's Tories through to Labour, a lot of what he's inherited started with the Tories, was it
I'm
not?
afraid...
So it's not necessarily the issue, but it's just where is the strong, powerful leaders with conviction that you just believe them, and with a bit of charisma, who's not just thinking, oh, my God, someone saying something on Twitter, they're generally going to follow through with it.
Well, listen,
Kemi is an intelligent, incredible woman. I'll never take that away from her.
Yep.
She's incredible.
She's
but you don't get a sense of, I want to follow this person, I believe in them. Like like how my dad loved Thatcher.
But
He
Trey,
loved that.
with all due
She
respect,
doesn't have
and
that.
I'll put this to Alexander, this system, we don't vote for leaders, we vote for local MPs. So is the whole point here about charismatic leaders completely redundant? Because actually you should be voting for your Prime Minister, you should be voting for your Member of Parliament, or if it's the alternative, is the system broken?
I'd have to say it's not redundant because it comes from the top down at the end of the day, and everyone's following reform largely because of Nigel and him stepping into the role as leader and doing such a great job and motivating the country, quite frankly. So I'd have
That's
to say,
true.
Yes, you are
Exactly.
voting for a local MP, but it all comes from the top down.
Thatcher was the same, which is why they still celebrate Thatcherism and talk about her to this day. She was that memorable.
She was strong.
Whether or not you agreed with her or not, she was strong. I mean, look at the Falklands
They
War.
said she ruled with
Took
an
a little
iron fist, but and sadly, Keir Starmer, his leadership skills remind me
like
of
a robot,
a growing mushroom. He feeds us manure and it keeps us in the dark.
Okay, so listen, we've got, over the last few weeks, we were talking about charismatic leadership. We've had two surrender deals. We've had that's completely botched, given the fact that the EU today and yesterday was slapped with a 50% tariff. What kind of leadership does someone have when they are literally doing a deal and the week after the people that are negotiating we've just had their hand massively weakened against us?
Alice.
Terrible, isn't it?
2016 wants their talking points back. Surrender deal, please. This is an incredible limited trade deal that no other government in recent times has been able to strike. Also, US trade deal, the first of its kind. I won't accept that. That's a surrender.
Maybe Keir Starmer should get a trampoline out and get some of those Davy points. Loads more to come on the show tonight, including British fishing boats being seized by the French and a Japanese minister forced to resign for a very bizarre reason. We're going to be going over all of that, including the obesity crisis. You're with the Saturday 5 Live on GB News.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's been a bit of a drab day out there and it's going to turn increasingly wet and windy across northern areas before sunshine and showers and feeling a little bit fresher through Sunday. So taking a look at the bigger picture, we've got this area of low pressure moving in, a squeeze in the isobars indicating some strong and gusty winds. So it's an unsettled picture out there tonight with heavy spells of rain, most persistent and heaviest across Scotland, with strong gusty winds and perhaps some coastal gales. In between, there will be some clearer spells, but otherwise, generally, temperatures still holding up 10 to 12 degrees. So quite a mild start to start Sunday morning, but an unsettled start, especially across Scotland. Here we'll see the longest spells of rain, especially across northern parts of Scotland and Orkney and Shetland. Otherwise, further south, we may see some glimmers of sunshine first thing. Across Northern Ireland, it's a case of sunny spells and scattered showers through the morning. England and Wales generally much brighter than Saturday, but there is some patchy outbreaks of rain across the far southeast to start Sunday morning. That rain will clear its way through, turning drier and brighter across the southeastern parts of England, but elsewhere it is a day of sunny spells and frequent blustery showers. Some of the showers are going to be heavy, perhaps thundery, with some hail, especially across northern areas. Otherwise, for all of us, it is a fresher feel out there with a slight change in the wind direction, but in the sunshine, feeling pleasant, 22 degrees in the south and east. So generally not as mild to start Monday morning, but plenty of sunny spells to start. Then we'll see further showers across much of the country, driest across the east before further spells of rain come in to the west. And that's a similar picture on Tuesday and Wednesday, dry, mixed with sunny spells, but generally temperatures highs of 21.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Someone is going to win the biggest prize package to date, and that someone could be you, driving away in this Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It has plenty of room for your family of 4, comes complete with kitchen, bathroom and all the space you'll need for life on the road. Plus, we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordmeat, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel. Nigel is back.
Good evening.
Unfiltered.
Are these proposals bold enough?
Uncompromising.
Will it bring growth?
Unmissable.
We as a country are brilliant.
Nigel Farage returns, coming soon, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
It's Saturday night. The Saturday Five is here with you, the UK's biggest Saturday night TV show. I'm Alexander Armstrong, along with Alexander Jones, Lizzie Cundy, Trey Lowe and Kai Wilshaw. Tonight on the show...
Complicity in genocide! This is complicity in genocide!
When will it end? We're bringing you the best triggered tantrums of the week. Alexander...
We'll reveal the topic that you voted for us to go head-to-head on the Saturday Scrap.
In our first big interview tonight, we're at war with the French over fishing.
The stories you missed this week.
And from 8 p.m, is it outdated to call people fat?
No, it's 7 p.m, and this is the Saturday Five. Welcome back to the Saturday Five. Plenty more for you this evening, including British fishing boats being seized by the French. It's the first boats they've seized, by the sounds of it. A Japanese minister forced to resign for a very bizarre reason. And we'll be asking, is tough love the best way to tackle Britain's obesity crisis and perhaps a treadmill? And, of course, we want to know all your views as well, so send them in to gbnews.com/your say. And don't forget to get your questions in for Ask the Five. It's our favourite part of the show because you can ask us anything. And we've normally had a few sips of our drink by then, so people start getting a bit tipsy. And vote in our poll is about to close momentarily if you haven't done it. I need to get that for you in a second. But anyway, here's the news headlines for you with Bethany Elsie.
Thank you. Here's your top stories from the GB newsroom at 7:01. A man has been arrested on suspicion of murder after a mother and 3 of her children died in a house fire in northwest London. Police were called to assist around 70 firefighters who were tackling the blaze on Tillet Close in Brent in the early hours of this morning. 2 homes were gutted by the fire. A 43-year-old woman, a 15-year-old girl and 2 boys aged 8 and 4 died at the scene. A woman in her 70s and a teenage girl are being treated in hospital. A 41-year-old man was arrested at the scene and remains in custody. Superintendent Steve Allen says they're working to establish the cause.
I recognise the significant impact this incident has had on the community. We are working closely with the local authority partners and will have officers until it close throughout the day. I would ask anyone with information about what happened to contact us by calling 101 or speaking to officers at the scene.
At least 14 people have been injured in Ukraine's capital in a major Russian missile and drone attack. Ukraine's Air Force says Russia launched 250 drones and 14 ballistic missiles against Kyiv, causing fires in residential buildings. It was one of the biggest combined aerial assaults on the city since the war began. The barrage came hours after Ukraine and Russia each exchanged more than 300 prisoners of war. It was the second swap under a deal agreed after talks in Turkey. French authorities have been condemned for detaining 2 British fishing boats in the English Channel. In the latest enforcement operation, a French patrol vessel intercepted and seized a UK trawler off the Baie de Somme for fishing without the required licence. The incident happened on Thursday, just hours after a record number of migrants, 825, crossed illegally into UK waters. In an interview with GB News, the Shadow Home Secretary accused Sir Keir Starmer of selling out British fishermen and surrendering UK fishing rights to the EU. The NHS is to open dozens of specialist mental health crisis centres across England over the next decade. The new service will be staffed by specialists and will take walk-ins as well as patients who are referred by GPs and police. The aim is to keep those who are experiencing a crisis, such as suicidal thoughts or psychosis, out of crowded A&E departments. NHS England says the new units will also relieve pressure on emergency services, including the police. And Sunderland have booked their place in the Premier League next season after beating Sheffield United 2-1 in the Championship playoff final at Wembley. Super sub Tommy Watson scored the winner in the 95th minute to seal a dramatic 2-1 comeback. Sunderland haven't been in the top flight of football since the 2017 season. And sticking with football, Aberdeen have won the Scottish Cup final after beating giant Celtic in a penalty shootout at Hampden Park. It's their first Scottish Cup triumph for 35 years. You're up to date. I'll have more in an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
It's Saturday night and you're with the Saturday 5, aren't you? I'm Alex Armstrong. I can promise you we're in for a very lively hour. Just a quick couple of your stays. We love reading these out here. Jay says, if you think David Cameron, Theresa May, Boris Johnson or Rishi Sunak are Conservatives, you're deluded. They were all closely aligned with the World Economic Forum, which is where their roadmap comes. And just like Labour is continuing on with them. Big Steve says, Kai is actually pretty OK for a lefty. Don't know. Susan says, it's a shame Kai is such a softy-wafty lefty. He's actually quite handsome. There you go. You'd be 10 times more attractive if
that's a first for me on the show.
And an important one here, Julia says, and I promised I'd read this out, I work in a women's prison with a therapeutic programme. No matter how much success we may have in reducing their risk of reoffending, the support system on the outside is a shambles. That's on that prison overcrowding crisis. Anyway, now it's time for tonight's main event. We asked you, our viewers, what topic you wanted to see us butt heads over in the Saturday scrap. And guess what? Well, there was 3 options. Chemical castration for prisoners, Prince Harry's privacy or rail nationalisation, and the votes are in. Can you guess? 64% voted for the chemical castration question, 17% voted for Prince Harry's visa row, and 19% voted for renationalising the railway. So let's get going. The Labour government this week announced proposals for chemical castration of sex offenders. I broke this story on Patrick's show. I couldn't believe the headline when I saw it. Genuinely, I was actually laughing because I thought it was so bizarre. Supporters say it could cut down reoffending and keep people safer, but critics are calling it extreme, even inhumane. So, is it time we chemically castrated sex offenders? Seconds out, it's round 1. OK, right. Well, look, I think if you break the law in this country, there should be severe consequences for your actions. We've become a very, very soft nation. And one of the things we see far too often when it comes to criminal offences is paedophiles or people who have got pornography of children getting off very, very easily. We've seen that quite a lot. In fact, people who've put out tweets have had much harsher sentences than people who've been caught with child pornography on their hard drives. I want to see a Britain where there's deterrence for paedophilia. I want to see a Britain where those people, if they wish, should and can get the support they need, whether that's through chemical castration or not. But I want to see those rates of people who are committing those crimes go down and go down forever. That is quite straightforward. The British public see sex offences and sex crimes as an outrage. This is not Britain. It's not part of our values. We should have a strong deterrent, and I think chemical castration will help bring those numbers down.
Well, I've heard a few things on this channel in my time, but that has to take the ticket. Look, this is straight out of the Sharia law and Iranian playbook, actually. You know who cuts off burglars' hands when they commit that crime? It's Iran's government. Now, this is a slippery slope, and allowing the government to have decision-making power over who gets chemically castrated, who doesn't, who gets their hand chopped off and who doesn't, is completely wrong. Now, there's mixed or limited evidence that it actually reduces a reoffending. What we haven't tried in this country, as we've talked about already, is rehabilitative methods to make sure that criminals get the support in the community that they need. Now, let's try that first and not rush to judgment in the knee-jerk reaction that we've heard so much about doesn't work. To chemically castrate people would be an incredible violation of people's bodily autonomy, a cruel and very unusual punishment.
I don't care. I do not care about the bodily autonomy of paedophiles, Kai. Let me just make that crystal clear. And I don't think most British people who have not committed that crime, at least, will. But we need a deterrence for people who commit crimes like this, particularly against children. We have a rape gang crisis against children. Thousands of young women have been abused up and down the country, and yet many of them are still to face any form of justice. If they knew what was going to happen to them at the end of that was some form of castration, actually, you know what? I don't think many of them would have done it. The fact of the matter is this country is a soft touch. This government is releasing rapists and murderers. They're going to be out offending again soon. We need to roll this out way quicker than that. We can't be worrying about criminals, human rights. We far too often worry about them before we put the British public safety first.
Alex, we can't be a soft touch on the one hand and then have prison overcrowding on the other. That's just logically
then, can they?
Inconsistent. So what you're saying actually is sex offenders should be let out of prison, correct?
If they're castrated, they're probably far less of a risk, yes.
Alex Armstrong wants more sex offenders out of the streets.
Come on,
let's be... That's what you've just said.
Castrate them first, then we might want to let them out because then we can free up the prison, and they can't rape anyone again, can they?
Well, it's actually the effectiveness of chemical castration also has mixed reviews.
Well, I'm not a scientist.
I just don't think this is wrong. You know, the fact is, Britain is different than so many other countries because we stick to our values and our principles, even though we despise what some people believe or what some people do. That's the correct thing to do. We can't chemically castrate people in a hark back to the Victorian times just because we think that something somebody has done is senseless. That would be senseless.
OK, let's open it up to the panel. Alexander, Reform is taking a very conservative stance on most of its policies. Do you think you can see yourself supporting a policy of chemical castration like the Labour Party have?
I believe for rapists and paedophiles, we should have the harshest punishment possible. Although I did have a little read about this, and there's only 60% of a probability of success rate with the castration pills. Well, pills are an injection, so that's a concern. But as for paedophiles and rapists, yeah, castrate them, 100%. I agree with you, Alex.
Yeah, Lizzie, what do you think?
I totally agree with you, Alex. And one of my very good friends, sadly, was sexually abused as a child, and it has had a devastating effect on her life. She's tried to commit suicide herself. Her abuser was let out. And what did he do? Just abused again and again and again. So I totally believe with you because I've seen what happens.
Trey, you are maybe more of a common-sense bloke than I am. Do you think I'm going too far when I said we should chemically castrate?
I think when it comes to young children, 100 trillion%, and how anyone can argue against it, I don't know. As long as it's been proven beyond reasonable doubt.
Correct, I agree with that.
That's been done 100%. For sex offenders, again, it has to be proven beyond reasonable doubt, and we know there's been some miscarriages of justice after a time. But I think what you've said is interesting, the 60% of success rate, that's a bit that we've got to be a bit wary of. But in principle, 100%. And I think it's good, actually, because it does need to send a message that if you do X, the consequences will be this. And I think what's happened is some things have got a bit too soft. I think when it comes to children, I don't think it should be much of a debate.
I completely agree.
I think people should know. I do get it. Some people have issues, blah, blah, blah. But I think the castration means that they can't harm anyone. You know, they might have some impulsive issues. I get that. But at least that way they won't be able to harm children.
So let me just read this your say comment out, and you can respond to this guy. Barbara Udok here says, Alex, you have no sympathy. It leads to rash thinking, too impulsive without research. It's characteristic of reformers, of my observation. Listen, I don't have empathy for paedophiles. Let me just be very, very clear about that, Barbara. I don't know whether you do, Kai. Do you have empathy for them?
Yes.
Okay.
Because...
You said it here first.
I used the word earlier, senseless. And that's one of the reasons why I think this is the wrong approach, right? So many crimes that all of us can't imagine perpetrating, can't even imagine the thought entering their heads. No, let me finish. Murdering... Alex,
go ahead,
I have to finish 1 point.
Go ahead.
Murdering people, sexual abuse of children is so abhorrent and so senseless that we can't even begin to imagine it. Now, I think many of the reasons for that is it's not about the crime, and that's why lots of them will go on to reoffend. It's about abuse, it's about their history, it's about all sorts of things. We can't imagine it, but we at least, I think, owe everybody in this country the ability to live their lives. Right.
Okay.
And there's a slippery slope. Would you kill them?
I've got a lot of time. I want to bring this.
If that was to happen to your son, your daughter, it would be a totally different story. Let me tell you.
I understand that.
And I don't know anyone apart from yourself that agrees. You know, when you do that to children, there's just that's it for me. I'm sorry.
I just cannot fathom having empathy for anyone who's committed a sex offence. When you commit a crime in this country, there needs to be harsh punishment. We are so soft on crime. Crime is spiking through the roof. There's a rape every 10 minutes in London? Something ridiculous. It might not be quite accurate, but something like that happening in London, Alexander. What is going on in our country? Is it because we're so soft now?
I just think when it comes to kids, you know, there's no grey area. It's either white or black. And in the case of this sort of crime, it's just jet black. And we need
I think where I agree with Kai is actually looking at some of the reasoning behind it. It doesn't mean we're not going to do that, but not the level of empathy where it's going to be on the perpetrator. No, what happened to you? Were you abused and blah, 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 rather than the victim. I think castration is good. It's chemical castration. It doesn't mean we don't continue supporting and looking after people who do what most of us would see as a heinous crime. So there's probably something going on. Sure, we should look at research it, but we should safeguard those children.
Yes,
they come first.
And I don't think
100%. You agree with that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
but I just don't think there's no sense to things like this, right? And I don't think that libido is the reason why paedophiles do what they do. I don't think it's a sex drive. I think it's more than that.
But the damage
this only answers part of the problem. It sounds good, but this doesn't answer the problem. And we've already seen the slippery slope in action on this panel, by the way, because you talk about rapes, you talk about serious sexual abuse of people who aren't children. Now, we're already seeing where this changes. Would you castrate everybody committed of touching somebody? I mean, there's a slippery slope.
There is a slippery slope.
I don't think any of you would really trust the government to make that decision.
I think when it comes to children...
I think when it comes to children, we can all agree. But the rest of it, I think, probably does need to be looked at, you're right. But with children, safeguard them, OK, that's it, chemical castration. And then we can still look at what's going on, because a lot of people who abuse have been abused.
But also, you know, if these sex offenders are taking these tablets, how do we know they actually are? And it's just they're
I know, we would have to...
I think there's a lot of questions to be answered about this, particularly in, like, the mechanisms. But I think on principle, I have no sympathy, not an ounce for anyone who commits a sex crime in this country. I think you should be banged up at the bare minimum for a very, very long time. Anyway, still to come tonight...
This is complicity and genocide! This is complicity and genocide!
They're not getting castrated at that point, unfortunately. If you hadn't already guessed, it's this week's Triggered Tantrums. But before that, it's war. English fishing boats have been intercepted in the Channel by the French. God, it's very reminiscent of the Napoleonic here, isn't it? How much more can our fishermen take? You're with the Saturday 5, the fieriest show on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Very good morning to you. And if you're planning to visit one of Britain's many beauty spots next bank holiday or Easter weekend, beware of your car.
Yeah, a rising number of tourist attractions are banning coaches and some cars to help ease overcrowding.
We're here to debate if vehicles should be stopped from parking near attractions. Government Relations Manager at the Countryside Alliance, David Bean, and founder of Fair Fuel UK campaign, Howard Cox. Good morning to you both.
David, how much of a problem are tourists when there are too many of them and they bring their great camper vans and they park all their cars in a line so you actually can't see the beauty spot you went to see? How much of a problem is it?
It can be a significant problem in certain areas. I'm in Scotland for the holidays, and particularly in areas such as the Highlands and Islands, there are areas that have very, very badly been affected. Even some camper vans end up getting taken out to certain places on the islands and then just abandoned after a holiday is finished.
Honestly, this is horses for courses, and to be fair, you know, I actually do believe that we need better signage, better planning, and Cameron hit the nail on the head. You can't get to these beauty spots unless you have some sort of transport to get there. And, you know, public transport is woeful across the country in these areas. Obviously, yesterday in the Berlin Gap one, you can't legislate for idiots. It needs better signage, better information, but if you take people away from it, you take income away from the community. You know, I think any organisation that's promoting a beauty spot that's making money out of it should be paying for better signage, better parking facilities, etc. I do not like the idea of cars being, you know, queuing up illegally, you could say. That's ridiculous.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Is this not the fieriest Saturday 5 you've seen for a very, very long time? But in some other news, French authorities have been condemned for detaining 2 British fishing boats, not the illegal migrants, mind you. In the same week, the Prime Minister was widely accused of surrendering UK fishing rights to the EU. What did we get in return, Kai? Did we get illegal migrants in return for fish? There we go, that's one for you to ponder on. The incident happened on Thursday, just hours after a record number of I don't think this is the amount of small boat migrants, sorry. 825 small boat migrants had crossed waters into the UK. For all the latest, I'm very pleased to welcome GB News Home and Security Editor Mark White. Mark, tell us more about that incident this morning.
Yes, good evening, you handsome lot. The French have really upset our fishermen, there is no doubt. They are accusing the French effectively of double standards here. We've got some exclusive video we can show you of a British fishing vessel, the Lady T. There it is, tied up in a French port. That is Boulogne Harbour. That vessel is detained by the French. It was boarded and detained by a French patrol ship on Thursday, just hours after 825 migrants, a record day, had been escorted across the English Channel by those same French patrol ships who didn't intervene to stop any of those migrant boats, but of course escorted them safely into UK waters. And that's why British fishermen are so incensed by what they're seeing out there. They also claim that the licensing fishing system is very confused there. I mean, this skipper may well be wrong at the end of the day, but they just say, you know, there are double standards here involved, you know, with the enthusiasm that the French have for going after British fishermen, but not illegal migrants. One fisherman based out of Dover said this to me earlier: "This is outrageous. It's so typical of the French. They should be totally focused on trying to prevent the daily illegal incursions by migrants into the Channel. But the only actual enforcement work those patrol boats are doing is targeting British fishermen." We've got another clip I think we can show you of another boat that was seized by the French just days before this. This is the Francesca that was seized off Brittany, and that vessel is also in a French port under arrest at the moment. It's in Brest, and it's going nowhere fast, and the skipper is likely to be prosecuted with regard to that as well. Now, what we have heard from the Shadow Home Secretary in response to our exclusive is actually anger at the way in which he says the Prime Minister has sold out British fishermen. Chris Philp said, "This year alone, the French have failed to stop 13,000 illegal immigrants crossing the Channel, taking no action whatsoever at sea and often ushering the illegal immigrants into UK waters. Yet, when a UK fishing vessel is in French waters, all of a sudden they're magically able to act." And Chris Phil goes on finally to say, if the French can now intercept boats when they should start, then they should start stopping the boats with illegal immigrants, as international law obliges them to. I mean, this really is a sort of double whammy or a triple whammy this week. Of course, they're seeing migrants coming across uninterrupted. They're seeing British fishing vessels seized, but they're also seeing what they claim was an act of betrayal by the Prime Minister in signing up to this EU deal for 12 more years, which they believe is grossly unfair, and very few fishermen that we've spoken to actually welcome what Sir Keir Starmer has signed off here.
Marco, just very briefly, that deal has obviously stung, and today's news on those detentions of those boats will come as another slap in the face. They're going to feel completely and utterly betrayed. They would have just got back 25% of their waters to fish in, and now they can't even cross a little bit into French waters before being detained by French authorities. What is the reaction amongst fishermen to this news?
Well, they are incandescent. There is no doubt. They are very angry at multiple betrayals that they see over the years. I mean, they were not happy, let's put it frankly, after Brexit anyway, when they think, you know, they were hoping that they would get, you know, much more, a much better deal in terms of their access to their own waters. But of course, it was signed off, a deal that would last until now, giving the EU fishing boats that kind of access. But now, of course, with this deal signed off by Sir Keir Starmer, that's another 12 years that access will continue. And the fishermen that we've been speaking to say, look, the industry is on its knees as it is. It's really struggling out there with lots of other issues at play that they have to deal with on a daily basis. And this just adds insult to injury, being seized by the French, who are suddenly quite zealous when it comes to enforcing their fishing rights, but they don't seem to be just as enthusiastic when it comes to enforcing the illegal crossing of the Channel by migrants.
Yeah, I'm sure, Mark. I briefly just want to bring in Kai on our panel. He'd like to ask you a question.
Thank you, Mark. And, you know, I have a lot of sympathy for the fishing industry and fishermen, but wouldn't you agree, aren't we giving too much airtime to what realistically is 0.03% of the UK economy? It's less of a contribution than the tax take of OnlyFans, another industry that one might say is on its knees, in your phrase. Don't you think it's time to move on?
Well, I mean, if you want to boil it down to pure figures, you might have a point, but I think many people will argue that, you know, the fishing industry is talismanic in terms of this country, a seafaring nation, which had a very vibrant and healthy fishing industry, which over successive governments has been beaten down. And I think if you speak to many people out in the country, and especially, of course, in coastal communities, they would love to see actually just people caring a bit more about this industry and revitalising this industry so that it does account for just a little bit more of GDP and it can be a proud industry once more.
OK, thank you so much for that. Mark White, GB News Home and Security Editor. You're with the Saturday 5 on GB News. Plenty more to come tonight, including...
This is complicity and genocide! This is complicity and genocide!
You can only imagine what's going on there. But we're going to show you the full clip in this week's Triggered Tantrums. But next, it is our Bunch of Five, one of our favourite parts of the show, in which one of our panellists will be asking, is it time up for Kemi Badenoch? You're with the Saturday 5, live on GB News.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Whilst western parts of the Mediterranean are having some largely fine weather, it's a different story in the east. Here we have the risk of some heavy showers, which could bring some thunder, even some high rainfall totals, causing problems across parts of Greece, Bulgaria and into Turkey as well. Like I said, though, further west, it's a drier picture, some showery bursts round, but also a decent amount of sunshine on offer. And in the sunshine, it's going to feel pretty warm, if not hot as well.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's been a bit of a drab day out there and it's going to turn increasingly wet and windy across northern areas before sunshine and showers and feeling a little bit fresher through Sunday. So taking a look at the bigger picture, we've got this area of low pressure moving in, a squeeze in the isobars indicating some strong and gusty winds. So it's an unsettled picture out there tonight with heavy spells of rain, most persistent and heaviest across Scotland, with strong gusty winds and perhaps some coastal gales. In between, there will be some clearer spells, but otherwise, generally, temperatures still holding up 10 to 12 degrees. So quite a mild start to start Sunday morning, but an unsettled start, especially across Scotland. Here we'll see the longest spells of rain, especially across northern parts of Scotland and Orkney and Shetland. Otherwise, further south, we may see some glimmers of sunshine first thing. Across Northern Ireland, it's a case of sunny spells and scattered showers through the morning. England and Wales generally much brighter than Saturday, but there is some patchy outbreaks of rain across the far southeast to start Sunday morning. That rain will clear its way through, turning drier and brighter across the southeastern parts of England, but elsewhere it is a day of sunny spells and frequent blustery showers. Some of the showers are going to be heavy, perhaps thundery, with some hail, especially across northern areas. Otherwise, for all of us, it is a fresher feel out there with a slight change in the wind direction, but in the sunshine, feeling pleasant, 22 degrees in the south and east. So generally not as mild to start Monday morning, but plenty of sunny spells to start. Then we'll see further showers across much of the country, driest across the east before further spells of rain come in to the west. And that's a similar picture on Tuesday and Wednesday, dry, mixed with sunny spells, but generally temperatures highs of 21.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5, everybody. It's a very lively show tonight, and I want you to get in touch with us. gbnews.com/your say, because coming up very, very soon, it's Ask the Five, and we will answer all of your questions, or at least as many as we can.
All of them?
Well, we'll try. We'll try. You know, I'm sure I read one of the most here at GB News. I want a tally of that, actually. We'll do it. We'll try and verify that at some point. But now it's time for this. Yes, it's Bunch of Five, some odder stories or different stories of the week. And I'm going to kick us off because this one really got me. The government is renationalising the railways. And a typical British fashion, the first ever train to be nationalised, South Western, is, guess what, going to be? A bus. A bus. How on earth can this government get any worse? And then one of their flagship transport policies they launched, the first one, is a rail replacement bus. What a joke. Kai, how has this happened? What is going on? You guys can't organise a piss-up in a brewery. I'm allowed to say that, I think. Oh, no, I'm not allowed to say it. Sorry. I apologise for my vulgar language, everybody. I do apologise. That was, you know what I meant, in the spirit I meant to say.
So we're not allowed to say... No. Look, I'll tell you how this has happened. Train operators in this country have run this, our infrastructure into the ground. And it's about damn time the government took back control. It's going to take a while. So there may be more buses than trains for a bit. But I think we're onto a good thing here. You know, look at the devastation, the incredible fare hikes we've seen. I think Britons up and down the country will be glad to see the end of them.
OK, Trey, what do you make of all this?
I wouldn't hold my breath that it going into government hands, someone's going to make it cheaper, more efficient, on time. It's not.
I didn't say efficient.
I mean, come on. I mean, look at the way local councils and governments run. It's terrible. I don't think it's going to be any better. You're right, though. I think when it's been in the hand of private companies, hasn't been run that well. But I don't expect government to be able to fix that. There's no way.
No.
It's going to be
I mean, you've got to laugh. I mean, I did laugh. It's a bus. I mean, I'm going to get Keir Starmer a sat-nav for our Christmas present because he's lost his way and he's useless. Absolute. Don't trust him with anything.
Alexander, Reform have some nationalisation promises, don't they? So you may fall on the side of renationalising the railways, perhaps?
I have seen, yeah. I think that'd be a good policy, potentially, yeah, definitely.
Do you think Reform will do a better job of running rail replacement buses instead of Labour?
It can't be any worse. I mean, the public just want a decent train service, and obviously with this rail replacement bus, it's a bit of a poor start, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's very poor.
If you want poll ratings for Reform to go up, then nationalising the pubs might be your best bet.
Oh, I love that idea. Right, Alexander, I want to hear what your bunch of five for us is this week. What have you got?
So mine is there's a plot for ousting Kemi Badenoch as the leader of the Conservatives and to swoop Robert Jenrick into the leadership. I saw the recent reports and I don't think it's going to help him, but that is the news. Grassroots Tories looking to oust her.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely surprised. I don't know what you think, Lizzie, but I mean, listen, she's just not broken through yet on the polls. No. She's coming up fourth behind the Liberal Democrats at some point. And at the end of the day, you've got Robert Jenrick sitting there. He's pumping out videos like a content creator every day. He's penetrating through the public message. He's getting massive amounts of engagement online. Is he waiting in the wings?
He is waiting in the wings. And the thing is, he's like a kind of Nigel Farage from Poundland, I feel. You know, he's just hasn't quite got it.
it. But I'm afraid...
That's harsh.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
But look,
it's your opinion.
he's better than Kemi. I'm afraid Kemi's been a big disappointment. I call her Kemi bad enough. I'm sorry to say that. But she's not strong. She's not a strong leader. She never talks about the real important issues, I feel, and misses out on Prime Minister's question times. But,
we've got to give her some credit. They've just suffered their worst electoral defeat in history. Surely she needs a bit of time, a bit longer than a few months. We just got used to regicide, haven't we, with the Tories?
She's weak. She's shown it from the start. What we're going to sit and wait and hope she gets better.
Yeah, no, I
she's
think
not
you're right,
got leadership qualities.
Let me ask you this straight, because Barbara said this. I don't know why she's addressing it to me, but she says, why do you think it's up to reformers to decide Kemi's fate? It's the members' choice, not yours or your boss's. She thinks Nigel Farage is my boss. He's absolutely not, by the way. My boss is far more terrifying. Do you agree that it really it comes down to what the Conservative Party want, isn't it?
It is. I mean, that's not going to happen to November. She's got a bit of time maybe to sort herself out. And I feel really bad because, like me, she's of Nigerian descent. She's extremely educated. She's a great woman. But for some reason, she's just not really gelling well with the public. There's something about it. It's almost like she's trying to be Thatcher-light or something, but I don't get a real sense of who she is.
Yes, okay.
Maybe we should lean into who she is.
She tries to do her best each week.
She's trying to do her best. It feels like a performance a
I
little
want to
bit,
get on your bunch of fives in. Lizzie, you've got something to talk to us about as well.
The pension state age is set to rise to 70, so I know that's almost inevitable and that people are really struggling financially. But I don't know why you're giving me this, because I'm not there yet, by the way.
Far away from that.
I tell you what, everyone I know loves working and is happy to carry on working. They enjoy it. It's good for your mental health. They enjoy being with people and enjoy working. So I don't really think this is going to be too much of a problem.
Fair enough. I mean, Trey, some people will work their lives and they'll go, do you know what, I've had enough. Not everyone loves their job. Some people just want to get on and actually have a relaxation towards the end of their life and just enjoy it a little bit, spend it with their families. Those people there who are hearing the news of things like this will just be going, oh, my goodness, not another one.
Yeah, I completely get it, although the stats for people in terms of how long they live once they actually retire are not the best. I think it's actually in some ways a good idea. But it depends on your job, isn't it? For some people are thinking, I can't wait to get out of here. They have to work a little bit longer. I think on principle, though, I would actually do that happily. Do you know, because you're still being social, you're still being useful. It's better for cognitive function and everything else. I think it's actually a good idea. And how do you solve it? I mean, I think it was only, a generation ago, women lived to, 69, wasn't it? So therefore, you'd pay pension for, 7, 8 years, whatever. Whereas now, the average age is God knows what. How are we going to afford to do that? Europe is aging really, really fast. We have to have something to do. And I think it's had in, another 2 years or something? It's not that bad.
Yeah, OK, we'll come back to you on this one in a bit, Kai. But Trey, moving on, what have you got for us?
So, my bunch of five is looking at tax rises are inevitable, according to Keir Starmer, following the public sector pay rise, which was a $7 billion bumper public pay rise. And now we're looking at how we're going to be able to afford that. And it's looking like taxes are going to have to go up as a result, which is not surprising, which I guess it's sad in a way, because I think, Labour sort of came out on this sort of promise of sort of fiscal responsibility, and then we're going to balance the books and blah, blah, blah. And it's the same old thing. Although, again, I can't keep blaming just Labour, because even if it was a Tory party, it probably would be the same thing. How do you give people the kind of pay that they need to be ordered, in order to live? But at the same time, how do you balance that? Because then everyone loses, because taxes go up, and therefore their rise doesn't mean anything.
I totally agree. I'll give you a reason why to blame the Tories for this, because inflation-adjusted pay for teachers, for people in nursing, medicine, has been still since 2010. Now, what happened in 2010? The Tories got into power. It's entirely them to blame. And yes, these look generous, but this is just as much as the Labour Party can do to support people who are at the front line.
OK. Alexander?
Well, Reform personally believe in increasing the tax threshold up to 20,000 to put more money in people's pockets, and I'm fully behind that. And I think that's a great policy and a better one to take than what we currently have.
And
don't know where the money comes from.
How would that be costed? They paid out to all the unions, didn't they, willy-nilly? They're mad net zero, putting all that money in.
OK, let's move on. Kai, what have you got for us?
So, we're not strangers in the UK to food-based political scandals and missteps. We've got David Cameron famously using a knife and fork to eat a hot dog. And then, of course, who could forget Bacon Sandwich Gate, Ed Miliband.
Take it off the screen.
We can't even quite see the bacon sandwich. But look, over the seas in Japan, the bar for food-based offence is so high that it is a resigning issue. Yes, the agriculture minister in Japan this week resigned over his comments last Sunday, saying that he'd never had to buy rice and that supporters give him plenty. Now, why was that a resigning issue? Well, rice prices have doubled in the last year in Japan, and there's all sorts of reasons for that, and it's caused offence, but... How do you feel? Do you feel happy that we have the politicians we have, or would you rather our politicians?
I tell you what I like about some parts of the world that have this very, very honourable culture is that if they are out of touch or they've caught doing something bad, they immediately step down and go, do you know what? I am not fit to do the job I'm in today. And this guy, clearly, I've seen, how Japanese behave when they've done something what they would call dishonourable. I mean, I think this is probably a little bit overblown by Western standards, but by Japanese standards, it's clearly not.
You would have ministers commit seppuku and chuck themselves off buildings for saying the wrong thing, wouldn't you, Alex?
Well, I suppose Keir Starmer gave back, didn't he? His Taylor Swift tickets and...
after you watched it's not enough for Alex. No, we can't have prime ministers who accept tickets or say the wrong thing.
Absolutely not. Why should you be letting your prime minister have free tickets to a Taylor Swift concert? What is that? What interest is that into the British taxpayer and the electorate? Absolute zero. Trey, do you think they've got better cultures of honour abroad than us?
I was going to say yes in that part of the world, but then I look at sort of what was happening in South Korea, and he certainly didn't want to leave after what happened. Yeah, they do generally. I think when they've done something wrong, generally they do leave. Whereas here, people hang on forever, and they even want to get back into government even after they've done wrong, which is crazy.
Mr. Boris Johnson.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
I'm sure Tony Blair would get back in if he could. I just think they always want to come back.
Alexander, do you think that we need politicians with a little bit more honour about them who'll step aside when they realise, actually, do you know what, I'm just not fit for this job?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like there's been a lot of dodgy politicians last few years that have tried to cling on for far too long. Obviously, we had Partygate through COVID and things like that. So I agree with you 100%.
OK, right. Well, still to come tonight, we've got more triggered tantrums. Take a look at this.
It's complicity in genocide! This is complicity in genocide!
It's my favourite part of the show because these meltdowns are just... Every week we get more and more of them. I just don't know where these people are coming from, honestly. Anyway, you're with the Saturday 5 live on GB News. Stay tuned.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Are these two things linked? Is an excess of belly fat perhaps hindering our children's education?
Good morning. So you're quite right. It's not the actual belly fat that is causing the brain problem. It's more that what causes the belly fat to exist is also causing issues in the brain, essentially. So the belly fat is almost a side effect, and so is the reduced learning, the memory, the mood issues that we're seeing in the brain. So it's very important to understand that those two things are correlated, and actually the problems that go behind it are what we need to target. So it's not just about, we're not just trying to body shame young people, we're actually trying to look at what are the cofactors, essentially. So that could be sleep, lack of exercise, overuse of technology, loneliness, would you believe it? And of course, diet.
The headline essentially has run away with itself. It's conflating the two and making it sound like belly fat is an issue for our children's education, when in reality, it's a matter of actually we need to be encouraging healthier habits, a better diet, more sleep, as you mentioned, loneliness, for example. Is it healthy, though, for these headlines to suggest, like you said, potential for body shaming, potential for, parents getting the wrong impression? Is that what the real issue here is?
I mean, everything has a positive and a negative side. If any parent looks at this and thinks, oh my gosh, I'm seeing my child is getting a little bit podgier around the middle. I need to do something, and kicks them into action. And same with children. You know, it's not a bad idea to inform them and educate them about diet and exercise. And it's good to know about those things.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back to the Saturday Five. We're getting ready for our pints. They are getting frozen now for us. So they're nice and cold in the next 15 minutes. Coming up from 8 p.m. Here's what we have for pints. It's because it's Ask the Five, and you can ask us anything. So send your questions through to gbnews.com/your say. Now, let me read some of those out because, again, I love to read them out on this show. Liz, we're talking about the retirement age here. Liz Williams says, you can just see 70-year-old firefighters and police running around up and down ladders. Yeah, imagine that. Those poor... This is what I mean. And again, here we've got... Ice Cold Truth. CB, we'll do Ice Cold Truth in a second. Catherine says, people that have done a physical job should be able to retire at 60. And that's a really good point we don't consider. Not all of us sit yapping all day behind desks like we do. Yeah. So actually people have real jobs out there where they actually have to use their bodies and they'll be exhausted by 60.
Yeah, but it keeps you fit. If you're moving your body and exercising, you're going to keep yourself fit.
It does keep you fit, though. I mean, because 70 is not old anymore. When I was young, 70 was old, 50 was old.
Build a few hours.
I am still going the gym at 70, but although people are doing repetitive work,
let me read
I can only imagine it must be hard.
Ice Cold Truth there. He says, we need politicians with egos less overinflated than the economy, but sadly they are rare. Yeah, I think that's pretty. It's a pretty good point there. What else have we got here? Crispy Dark, love that. Alex Kai, I thought Seppuku was that number game like a crossword. No, unfortunately not. I don't recommend you Google it just in case you've got kids around you. It's not of course the lefties would drag it downhill, wouldn't they? OK, it's time for Triggered Tantrums. You've got a free ticket to this week's Ringmasters of Rage, Clowns of Collapse and Acrobats of Absurdity, tumbling over zilch. A bit of long shift for me. Just wait until you see this lot, and I am going to kick us off. I've been teasing it for a while. We see these people every week. They are completely relentless, aren't they? They won't get there. Well, they won't be happy until we start bombing Israel by the sounds of it. Have a look at this.
This is complicity and genocide! This is complicity and genocide!
Yeah, that's right. Chuck them out. That's what I do. This is what we need more of. Just like stop all this rubbish. Stop ruining people's day. There's people trying to get about their business. Make your protest outside. Do what you've got to do legally. I mean, we don't mind freedom of speech in this country, but these people just keep on encroaching on everyone else's life. And I tell you what, if any of you those sort of people are out there protesting without you watching, but if you are, you're making everyone go against your cause, not for it. Trey, do you think this is sort of leading us down a path of nobody wanting to support Palestine in the end?
No, I think people that want to support Palestine always will do. I don't think this is necessarily going to make a difference to that. But I think you're right. I think when
do you think it'll turn off ordinary folk, though?
I don't know. I think people are quite emotive on the subject, more emotive enough where this won't make a difference. It's not like the Just Stop Oil lot where that generally annoying people. I think people who feel passionately about what's happening in Gaza will still feel passionately about what's happening in Gaza, but people should be mindful when they protest then.
Lizzie, have you had enough of seeing these scenes every weekend, foreign wars being fought out on the streets of London?
Totally, because I'm coming through to get onto this show and I can't get through. And I mean, I got caught up in the protests for Palestine, and I actually asked a policeman to help me, and he said, no, it's going to be too much aggro. And there's definitely too two-tier policing going on there. And I'm all for, you know, protesting, but do it with responsibility.
Yeah. Alexander, before we get to your tantrum, your party's just been taking down flags across councils around the country, haven't they? How's that been going? Have you had many counter-protests?
I've not seen any counter-protests yet. We haven't done it in Doncaster yet, but I'm sure it's very much on the cards.
Not yet. Come on, hurry up. It doesn't take that long to get down a flag.
Get rid of those woke flags.
Right.
Progress.
Why don't you tell us what you've got for your tantrum?
So for me, I've got a Liberal student in Cambridge University debating Charlie Kirk. So there was a debate that was ensuing that got very fiery, and in the end, the Liberal student storms out, and it just shows the difference of how a man and a boy handles a debate and a disagreement.
Let's take a look.
You have elected, or help elect, somebody who is at best an idiot and at worst is deeply corrupt. You are a culture warrior. I believe when everything is done, Mr. Kirk, people will see you and the people you supported as corrupt, as selling the country out to the lowest bidder and of doing irreparable damage to a country I'm sure we all deep down love.
The difference,
I think you will have to reckon with that
difference
one, Mr. Kirk.
is when... The difference is when we get our way, we'll still have a country, and your country will be a third world hellhole.
Oh, fiery stuff there from Charlie Kirk. That's from his TikTok account, of course. Charlie Kirk, a firebrand, massive name in America, by the way, has the ear of Donald Trump. Kai, your feeble lefties there, always having to walk away because they can't handle it. Is it very common of your ilk? Even at Labour Party conference, you have to all have your pronouns and everything. You just can't handle the truth.
No, look, I've dismissed lots of what the left protest, or the ways that the left protest. You know that. And I don't think that disengagement or sort of silly, pandery protests is the way forward. But people are allowed to do that, you know? Right. But it does give the right wing the last word, as we saw in that video just now.
All right, Lizzie, what have you got for us this week?
Well, I have a trans woman who says now she's trans woman, eating food is much more what she wants to do and wants to be kind of fat and enjoy being bigger because now she's a woman.
Let's have a look.
But the thing is she?
I was a guy. I always had to work out and do cardio and have abs. And, like, I was always pretty fit. But now that I'm a woman, I don't know why, but I feel like I can just gain weight. And, like, maybe it's because I know a lot of women my age that are just a little bit thick. And I'm not trying to say all women are thick or anything like that, but I want to be thick. It makes it so I can eat. My doctor was like, you need to gain some weight if you want to have boobs and a butt. And I was like, okay, I can do that.
Oh, it's such a stereotypical man's perspective, isn't it, Lizzie?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think it's just an excuse because she fancies Burger King.
Well, some of us are partial to a burger. You know, looking at you, Lizzie, I imagine that you don't go after the show and have one. But look, for me, I don't like dunking on trans people at all. But look, sometimes, and this goes for all people, you just keep it to yourself. You don't have to broadcast everything on social media.
OK, right. Well, don't go anywhere, because next, it's the Saturday 5 Extra. And if you thought the last 2 hours have been mad, this is where it all goes nuts. We're getting a drink. Everyone's going to have a good time. Get ready. We've got some big interviews lined up for you. We've got some of the best topics. And we're going to be, more importantly, answering your Ask the 5 questions. Keep them coming on your say right now. And we'll see you in just a moment with a pint.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's been a bit of a drab day out there and it's going to turn increasingly wet and windy across northern areas before sunshine and showers and feeling a little bit fresher through Sunday. So taking a look at the bigger picture, we've got this area of low pressure moving in, a squeeze in the isobars indicating some strong and gusty winds. So it's an unsettled picture out there tonight with heavy spells of rain, most persistent and heaviest across Scotland, with strong gusty winds and perhaps some coastal gales In between, there will be some clearer spells, but otherwise, generally, temperatures still holding up 10 to 12 degrees. So quite a mild start to start Sunday morning, but an unsettled start, especially across Scotland. Here we'll see the longest spells of rain, especially across northern parts of Scotland and Orkney and Shetland. Otherwise, further south, we may see some glimmers of sunshine first thing. Across Northern Ireland, it's a case of sunny spells and scattered showers through the morning. England and Wales generally much brighter than Saturday, but there is some patchy outbreaks of rain across the far southeast to start Sunday morning. That rain will clear its way through, turning drier and brighter across the southeastern parts of England, but elsewhere it is a day of sunny spells and frequent blustery showers. Some of the showers are going to be heavy, perhaps thundery, with some hail, especially across northern areas. Otherwise, for all of us, it is a fresher feel out there with a slight change in the wind direction, but in the sunshine, feeling pleasant, 22 degrees in the south and east. So generally not as mild to start Monday morning, but plenty of sunny spells to start. Then we'll see further showers across much of the country, driest across the east before further spells of rain come in to the west. And that's a similar picture on Tuesday and Wednesday, dry, mixed with sunny spells, but generally temperatures highs of 21.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
You could be driving away with this brand new Elneg Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with skyroof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Nigel is back.
Good evening.
Unfiltered.
Are these proposals bold enough?
Uncompromising.
Will it bring growth?
Unmissable.
We as a country are brilliant.
Nigel Farage returns. Coming soon. Only on GB News. The People's Channel. Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
It's Saturday night and this is the Saturday 5, the UK's biggest Saturday night TV show. I'm Alex Armstrong along with Alexander Jones, Lizzie Cundy, Trey Lowe and Kai Wilshaw. Tonight on the show, Yeah, what do you think is going on there? We've got triggered tantrums coming up for you. And Alexander, what have you got?
Why I'm more likely to get a date than a Tory?
Lizzie?
Is it still okay to call people fat?
I'm sorry, I don't have a plane to give you.
I wish I did. I take it. I would take it.
It's triggered tantrums. And after all that, it's time to grill us in Ask the 5.
It's 8 p.m. and this is the Saturday 5 Extra. Yeah, this is a much more fun part of the show because we get a pint, and Joe, our editor, has poured a good pint. So have a look, see what you think. Not bad this week, Joe. We'll keep on.
Yeah,
a few weeks ago, I had more of a head of a pint than I actually had a pint. But there we go. He's getting better. He's getting better. Welcome to the Saturday 5 Extra. Coming up this hour, we're answering all of your questions, and it's your last chance to send us all of your questions in Ask the 5 because we want you to grill us. Nothing is off topic. And of course, we want to know your views as well. Please send them into gbnews.com/YourSay. But before we start tearing each other apart, it's just Saturday Night News with Bethany Elsey.
Hello, your top stories from the GB newsroom at 8:01. A man has been arrested on suspicion of murder after a mother and 3 of her children died in a house fire in northwest London. Police were called to assist around 70 firefighters who were tackling the blaze on Tillet Close in Brent in the early hours of this morning. 2 homes were gutted by the fire. A 43-year-old woman, a 15-year-old girl and 2 boys aged 8 and 4 died at the scene. 2 others were taken to hospital. A 41-year-old man was arrested at the scene and remains in custody. At least 14 people have been injured in Kyiv in one of the biggest combined aerial assaults on the city since the war with Russia began. Ukraine's Air Force says Russia launched 250 drones and 14 ballistic missiles against Kyiv, causing fires in residential buildings. The barrage came hours after Ukraine and Russia each exchanged more than 300 prisoners of war. It was the second swap under a deal agreed after talks in Turkey. Israeli military says it's reviewing claims one of its airstrikes killed 9 children from the same family in southern Gaza. Nasser Hospital says the children's parents both work there as medics. Israel authorities claim its aircraft struck what it called suspects who were operating from a structure in the city. Israel has stepped up its military operation in Gaza this month, saying it aims to eliminate Hamas as military and bring back remaining hostages who were taken in October 2023. French authorities have been condemned for detaining 2 British fishing boats in the English Channel. In the latest enforcement operation, a French patrol vessel intercepted and seized a UK trawler off the Baie de Somme for fishing without a required licence. The incident happened on Thursday, just hours after a record number of migrants, 825, crossed illegally into UK waters. In an interview with GB News, the Shadow Home Secretary accused Sir Keir Starmer of selling out British fishermen and surrendering UK fishing rights to the EU. Sunderland will play in the Premier League next season after beating Sheffield United 2-1 in the Championship playoff final at Wembley. Super sub Tommy Watson scored the winner in the 95th minute to seal a dramatic 2-1 comeback. Sunderland haven't been in the top flight of football since 2017. Sticking with football, Arsenal have won the Women's Champions League, beating defending title holders Barcelona 1-0 in Lisbon. It's the second time the Gunners have lifted this trophy. They last did it 18 years ago as part of their quadruple winning season in 2007. They remain the only English side to have done it. Around 5,000 Arsenal fans made the trip to support their club. And Aberdeen have won the Scottish Cup final after beating football giants Celtic in a penalty shootout at Hampton Park. It's their first Scottish Cup triumph for 35 years. Those are the latest GB News headlines. I'll have more in an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
welcome back to the Saturday 5 Extra. It's the wildest part of the show. If it wasn't wild enough already, to be honest with you, I'm already slurring my words because I've had 2 sips and it's fine after a 9-hour shift. But, of course, it's one of our favourite parts of the show because coming up, it's Ask the Five. You get to take control of this part of the show again. So let's see what our first question is, and it's from Alan.
Good evening, folks. Given that the Northern Ireland Legacy Act has just been scrapped by the Labour government, what steps do you think that the government should take to protect our veterans and our current serving soldiers from spurious, vexatious claims against them, sometimes many, many years after their tour of duty has actually ended?
Yes, of course, this is a reversal of some policies that protected veterans. And, of course, the Conservative Party in the last election wanted to introduce more legislation to make sure that our veterans, particularly those who were in the Troubles in Northern Ireland, were protected. Now that looks like it's being reversed and they might get dragged into court. Alexander, you're a Reform UK councillor. Is this something that your party would do? Would you protect veterans in this country? And if so, what sort of stuff do you think you might do?
I think we should always do our best to protect our veterans for the great work they've done and obviously serving the country. So I fully back that, and whatever they want us to do, I'd be happy to support it in every way possible, the great service they've done.
Yeah, Lizzie, you know, there seems to be a feeling that veterans are very left behind in the country. There's a homelessness crisis happening amongst veterans. They don't feel prioritised in any way. We're having to rely on charity rather than government. Do you think the government should be doing more?
They totally should be doing more. And I run a charity for veterans, and it breaks my heart to see how many are homeless and lost their way. And look what we're giving to migrants, hotels, food. What about our veterans? They put their lives on the line for us. I think we forget that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Trey, it's always difficult when you see veterans on the street. Of course, it's not like they've got a big signpost above them saying we are veterans, but it's a real crisis. Many of them struggle to adapt to real life when they come out into the real world. Do we need to be doing more? Should we be doing more for years?
100% need to be doing more. I mean, so many of them, I mean, they give their life for the country. You know, and when they're doing it, there's all this pomp and pageantry as we send them off to fight wars, but when they come back, we forget about them. So many of them are men as well. Some of them are just forgotten about. People almost look at them like they're vermin, but they don't realise that these people are potentially taking the bullet for your safety and security. I think we absolutely should do more, especially for the older ones. I mean, everyone knows how I feel about the older people. I think they should be absolutely protected, looked after, and as veterans, they should be held in the highest of esteem.
Yeah, Kai, you know, in America, veterans are treated with so much. I mean, having spent a lot of time in America myself and lived a little stint out there, you know, I see the respect that is shown to veterans in America, and they get discounts, they get fast-tracked to job offers, so there's not loads of them becoming homeless and struggling afterwards. Why have we not got a grip of this in this country? What do you think it is about our political system that doesn't seem to care?
It's odd, isn't it? Because actually we talk so much about the Great War and the Second World War and lionise the people who fought for our country, but actually the system isn't in place to protect people. Now, in this case, though, I think something that people will be angry about, and what is a real two-tier justice, I think, is that, you know, veterans can be prosecuted while people who took decisions in war, ministers who had lots more information, get away scot-free. And I think that's the real scandal. And you see it in corporate scandals as well. It's always the small people rather than the bosses and the fat cats.
Well, this is the truth about this topic, and we'll move on in just a second, but this is the truth about this topic about protecting veterans, is that they don't make the calls. They are told, they're given instruction. And so what we're doing is we'll be victimising the people who've just followed orders. It's like someone telling me, well, what you read in that autocue is now illegal, we're going to prosecute you over it, right? Because that's sometimes, you know, that's just how it is, right, when you're reading the news.
It's a travesty. It's so unfair.
I think it's a mixture of them being sort of ordinary working class people, so nobody really cares.
Exactly.
And the fact that most of them are men as well. Nobody cares. It's a double whammy.
And their mental health as well.
And their mental health, nobody cares,
OK, let's move on to our next question, and this is from Lee, I believe.
Hello, Lee from Bedford. My question to the panel is, with Keir Starmer giving away the Chagos Islands, do they feel that places like the Falkland Islands, Gibraltar and Cyprus, with its sovereign base areas, are safe in Keir Starmer's hands?
No. That's a pretty obvious answer from me. I mean, look, we've already heard the rumours from the EU. I can't remember his name, Costas something, who's mentioned that there's a deal coming between the UK and Gibraltar and the EU. That scares me. We're very, very willing to give up our territory, it seems, under this government, and I'm terrified of that. Kai, it's your government. I'm sure you're going to defend the handing over of our sovereign territory, 660,000 kilometres of sea, 200 islands, strategic military base, and we're paying for the privilege of it. What's going on?
It's your government too, Alex.
Well, unfortunately, so you're right, yeah.
Don't forget. No.
Not my government, as you lot would say. Yeah, hashtag not my Prime Minister.
And let's not quote Elon Musk on this show any more than we need to. Look, there's no indication that Gibraltar's being given away, let alone the others, the Falklands and so on. I mean, please give me a break. Not going to happen. The Chagos Islands deal, I know to all of us looking in, I mean, it sort of beggars belief. It looks unbelievable. But look, the US government is happy with it. We're happy with it. The Tories were happy with it when they were negotiating this deal. I think there has to be more to this story than meets the eye. So no, don't worry about the other territories. And let's get to the bottom of Chagos, but I mean,
yeah, the man
we're not giving anything else.
The man I was referring to about the Gibraltar stuff is Antonio Costa, the president of the European Council. I beg your pardon, I should have known that, but I'm a little bit brain dead.
But the wording is vague. He says there's a deal, and of course there'll be a deal because there has to be, Gibraltar being where it is has to have good alignment with the EU, in terms of tourism and stuff like that. I'd imagine that it's a badly worded tweet, not an indication that we're giving away Gibraltar. There's no indication of that,
Alex. We've heard this all before, haven't we? We've heard it all before. Don't believe a word of it.
Not happening.
Ray, what do you think?
I mean, can you imagine if they did give away Falklands? That would be crazy, isn't it? It wasn't that long ago that people fought and died for that island. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I think that would be one
suicide.
step. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it would be political suicide. I think you're right.
No one's going to do that.
Lizzie, what do you make of the surrender deal, the so-called surrender deal, the summit of the EU? We've caved in on the EU. We've caved in on the Chagos Islands.
The Chagos Islands, they weren't Keir Starmer's to give away. I'd say it could be up for treason, honestly. It wasn't his to give away.
Yep.
OK,
Tough
you want to
talk.
go through it? I'll go through it with you.
No, fair enough. Tough talk from Lizzie there. Alexander, obviously reform's all about, flying the flag. You guys wouldn't have given the islands away, would you?
Absolutely not. The Chagos Islands have been ours for over 200 years, and we've never had any problems.
So, what would you say to the UN and all those legal institutions that was going legally? You are obliged to give these islands away. This is the arguments made by the left. How would reform respond to them?
I feel like they're just saying that as a way to appease us for our wrongs of the past and how they see it. But I just think we should be more proud of our history and our culture. And yes, these things happen, and we claim these territories in certain ways obviously wouldn't be acceptable today, but it is what it is now.
Yeah, so
keep what we've got.
Yeah, well, in that, it's very briefly because we'll move on in a second, but in that document, Kai, as I was reporting the other night, what's the key word that we keep on skirting around? Decolonisation. We must respect the decolonisation process of Mauritius, which never owns the islands, Kai. So what's David Lammy's team doing writing stuff like that in that paper?
Look.
No answer.
Stop. Look, no.
Answer.
You know what, Lizzie? I'll put my hands up on this show and say I can't defend that. And yes, decolonisation. I actually agree, Alexander. We can't be making such big decisions based on this sort of narrative fiction that has come up in the last few years that is designed to make people feel bad.
It's also quite concerning as well because Mauritius is getting ever closer to China and India as well, but then we're giving
and Iran
and for the privilege. It's like,
Trey,
what is going on?
What's the everyday man thinking about this Chagos deal? Do you care?
I don't think your average normal person necessarily cares. But obviously, the fact that it's so expensive and the fact that... honestly, I think your average normal person is thinking more about the cost of living than they think about this. I think some of these things are just blown out of proportion. But I think if they went beyond that and did Falklands or the rest of it, I think your normal person would care. But for this, everyone's like, get over it. Yeah.
All right, well, let's go to our next question, and I believe this is from Julie.
Hi panel, so it's the bank holiday weekend and of course the weather has changed. I've been out on my allotment today because what else am I going to do? I love my allotment because it takes me away from the hustle and bustle of the world and I don't have to engage my brain too much. So what do you guys do to unwind from the daily bind? What's your little piece of heaven?
Oh, I love
that. That's a nice one.
It's nice. Not so political. I don't think we're going to have to engage our brains on such light questions like this. But thank you, Julie. I think we'll go to the most sensible person on the panel, Trey.
You know, that's a great question, because sometimes you guys are watching me and I'm like sleep deprived. Obviously, I've just had a baby, which is like 22 days old. So it's great you said that. Do you know one thing I do is I like to journal. I love journaling. I love to do gratitude. In fact, I've got my Alexa at 7 o'clock. It says, "What are you grateful for?"
Oh,
no matter what's happening in the day, my Alexa will say to me, "What are you grateful for?" Me and my wife will then look and say, "What are we grateful for?" And we do a list. Because otherwise, you could easily be like, "The baby doesn't stop crying," and it's easy to whinge.
We've got.
I can't remember who said it right.
Listen, hang on. I can tell you what Kai's is. He gives out non-crime hate incidents for his reprieval.
No. When I want to disengage my brain, I actually look at Alex Armstrong's Twitter profile.
Blowing up, that's what it is.
No, for better, for worse, actually, I will just binge watch Netflix. I can't stop it. I will keep going until the early hours.
What do you watch?
What do I watch? All sorts of things. But also, I actually am a big fan of Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Oh, really?
Really big fan. Because if you, my mother, my mum used to call it.
Just a second. This is far less interesting. What you're saying. Lizzie knows Kim Kardashian.
I do know Kim. I interviewed her for a perfume launch, and her then husband didn't show up, and she said, "Do you want to come and sit with me? I really like you." And the one who's in trouble at the minute. And I said, "Why not?" And I've stayed in touch since.
I think.
Nice.
She gets a really bad rep. She gets a really bad rep, and people who don't like Kim Kardashian just don't like the reputation. They haven't watched any of the show.
Exactly.
I actually like her. I think
mental chewing gum.
She was very nice to me.
This has taken a real interesting turn. I have no experience with the Kardashians.
She's an entrepreneur. She's done well in life.
Alexander, what's your little bit of a reprieve?
I'd probably say going to the gym.
There you go.
Yeah. Good arm day, something like that.
Yeah, okay.
We can tell.
Why not?
Look at this handsome lot on the panel.
Why not? I like to get out. I do a bit of hiking every now and then because I think that's the only way I can't be. No one can talk to me. My phone gets no signal. It's just wonderful. Okay, didn't we have any more of those? We're going to keep reading up loads of your comments, so keep them coming. I've got them all here, so I keep on copy and paste them, so I've got them saved. But so keep them coming in. And still to come tonight, though.
Watch out, massive fatties. The lard police are in town.
I love Steve Miller. He's brilliant. Is straight talking the key to tackle obesity, or is it we retire the insult? All that after the Saturday 5 Extra.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
It is cruel because I think children are only your children for 16 years, 18 years, right? And then they go and they have to do all this stuff for themselves. I think while they're young, their main priorities should be their education, coming in, doing their homework, getting to bed, getting enough sleep. My children, for example, are 11 and 16, so one's doing his GCSEs, the other still randomly has a ton of homework, even at 11. By the time they've come in and done their homework, they're exhausted and they go to bed. I just don't think it is my job as a parent to tell them to then go and mop the floor or hoover their bedrooms. Their main focus is their education at this age.
Yeah. You made my blood run cold there talking about homework, because I'm not a believer in homework. I think school is where you do work and then you come home, and home is where you can do anything else that you want to do, but I just think it's just all too much.
I think this is a tricky one because we're not talking about Victorian Britain or sending children up chimneys. We're talking making your bed, tidying your room. I think it's a great help for people to do chores around the house. There's been several studies where they've seen that it's had beneficial well-being for children. And I think it's just about learning about time management, confidence, resilience. These are just basic life skills. So many people these days, teenagers, grow up and they don't have them, and then they're going off to university or whatever. I saw a really funny video actually of a mum who couldn't get her child to clean up, so she got black rice, sprinkled it around the room and told him it was mouse droppings. Now, I don't know if we need to go that far, but I do think it's good for children as a whole.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5. Please get in touch, gbnews.com/you'll you know the drill. Put your questions in there and I'll read them out at some point for you. Thank you for your messages so far. Miles says, and this is very flattering, I'm flattering myself here. Miles says, the Saturday 5 should be every day of the week 5. Boils my blood that you guys are only on screen once a week. I completely agree. Have a word with the management, Miles, honestly. Starmer saying that the US is happy with the Chagos deal. Call me a cynic, but I can't help wondering if the US is just giving him enough rope to hang himself with. And I think he means that theoretically, of course, politically. You know what? I think this is just a good deal for the Americans, frankly, because they haven't got to pay for anything. OK, moving on. In 2010, Steve Miller made headlines with his no-nonsense weight loss show, Fat Families, calling participants everything from fatty siblings to beach blubber bellies. Supporters saying his blunt... I haven't read this before. His blunt comments got results. Critics say it was cruel, outdated and discriminatory. He insists it was all about honesty with a sense of fun. But others argue it crossed a line. Is straight talking the key to tackling obesity, or is it time we retire the insults? To discuss this, I'm pleased to welcome Director of All About Obesity, Sarah LeBrock. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on tonight. You saw some of the clips there of Steve Miller, and I have to say, to start off with, it is entertaining. People did laugh at those things. Have we moved past the point now where this is there's an ability to laugh at things and actually we have to take everything so seriously?
Yeah, I mean, so you're talking about things happening back in 2010, and I think back then it wasn't right, but we didn't know the complexities of obesity and understand the science around obesity the same as we do now. So I think there's always been this running joke about weight, that people think it's okay to make these comments about people living in larger bodies. And I think the thing is, it's not okay. It is bullying, it's discrimination, it's just not okay. So there's absolutely no way that we should be encouraging that behaviour, especially now in 2025, when we have evidence to show that weight stigma, which is kind of what's happening with this kind of banter, etc., around weight, is actually more damaging to someone's health than obesity itself. So we need to be really mindful of this. For sure.
Yeah, and obviously, critics of this will say, well, actually, you know what, there was nothing wrong with people feeling a little bit offended by that because it might incentivise them to do something about it. If we become too accepting of things like obesity, if, for example, San Francisco has an obesity champion, however, she champions being happy with your weight rather than doing something about it, it's quite easy for us to tip in to the other line quite easily from going, actually, no, we don't accept obesity, which causes severe strain on the NHS, causes many different diseases as well. But it also, at the same time, we mustn't embrace the idea that being obese is healthy.
No, and again, totally agree with you. I think we need to focus on health and not weight. So we need to make sure that everybody is being the healthiest version of themselves. And for some people, that will be living in a slightly larger body than someone else's. This is the bit that I'm trying to get across and that I spend a lot of my time doing in the work that I do, is that everybody is going to come in different shapes and sizes. Like, it's okay that we do. Like, if we all look the same, the world would be pretty boring, to be fair. And it's about that obesity is not a choice. So it's not something, one day someone didn't wake up and go, do you know what? I want to live with obesity today. They had a genetic predisposition which has driven them to to choose certain foods, to behave in certain ways. There's lots of things that are out of someone's control. And I'm not saying we can't do things about it, because we can. We can make sure we eat healthy foods and we move more. But for some people, even if they do that, they will still live in larger bodies. And that's the bit we need to be more accepting of and not shame them for living in a larger body.
Yeah, the obesity epidemic, before I bring my panel in, because I'd like them to ask you some questions as well, the obesity epidemic is getting worse. The proportion of adults in England who are overweight or obese has risen. I'm just looking at the stats here. In 1993, 52% to 2022, 63%. So it's a slow creeping problem. We're seeing over the course of 10 years almost 1% every year. What is it that needs to change for us to tackle this crisis, in your opinion, Sarah?
We need to recognise it as being a chronic condition, because at the moment it's being seen as a lifestyle choice, as a behavioural thing. It's so complex that we can't look at it in such a simplistic way. So we need to manage it like it's a chronic condition. Therefore, we need to treat it like it's a chronic condition. We also need to change the food environment that we are susceptible to, the whole environment that we're in, because we live in an obesogenic environment, which means the environment is driven towards pushing us to living in larger bodies because of the way we can access foods and the types of foods we can access and the jobs that we do and all of these kind of things. They don't help someone if they're more predisposed to living with obesity. So there's lots of things we can change.
Sure. Kai, I'd like to bring Kai in and then Alexander after that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah. And I think you probably have this every day. These kind of debates lack a bit of nuance, don't they? Some people would look at how this drama producer has been treated and say, well, he's being cancelled, people being cancelled for things that seemed OK back in the 2010s. I want to ask specifically, this was a reality TV show, but comedy, lots of people are worried about all sorts of different comedy taking the mickey out of people will be cancelled. I just wanted to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of opinions on it. I think, the world has changed and I don't necessarily think it's for the better. I'm from the era of growing up, with all of this was just normalised, and I don't think that's necessarily right. But I think the thing we need to stop doing is making fun of body shape and size, because that is the bit that kind of like, it is discrimination and it's bullying. And it's like, we think back to children being subjected to Daddy Pig and his big tummy and the fat controller and this language that we've been brought up with, thinking that's normal, when actually, no, it's not normal. Like, we shouldn't be using that language. So I do think we need to be mindful. I think we can take it too far and be too we shouldn't be saying X, Y, and Z. But I think we do need to be mindful of what we have done in the past and the impact that has on individuals. Because it's not OK for them to feel bad. And I think that's the thing we need to be mindful of.
Last question, Alexander.
I have to say I completely disagree with you, Sarah. I think being obese and as a genetic issue, that affects a very small amount of people, that it's like a genetic predisposition. I would argue that it's just how much you put in and how much you put out. Anybody, anyone on the planet pretty much can eat less and train more. So I don't really agree with you whatsoever, to be honest.
I agree with you in the fact that I don't disagree that people can eat less and move more and they can lose weight. What they can't do if they have the genetic predisposition, and actually it's a lot more than you actually imagine do, you can't maintain the weight loss.
It's a finite amount of people, though, I would argue.
No, it's not. It's actually a huge amount of people, which is why 2/3 of the population live with overweight and obesity in the UK. That's how many people have this kind of predisposition. It's not a choice. No one... You can have skinny genes as well. So if for some people that have got the skinny genes, they can eat what they want and they'll stay skinny. So that is genetics as well. Like there's a real scale here, and we need to stop thinking that it's okay to shame people for living with a chronic condition, because that's what it is. And fundamentally, we can manage it in different ways, but it is a chronic condition.
OK, thank you so much for coming on. Sarah LeBrock, director of All About Obesity there. Still to come on the Saturday 5.
I'm sorry, I don't have a plane to give you.
I wish you did. I take it. I would take.
Oh, yes. What is going on there? Donald Trump's up to his old tricks again. I love it. Find out more in the rest of our Triggered Tantrums. But before that, it's High Five. So don't go anywhere. This is Saturday 5, only on GB News.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
whilst western parts of the Mediterranean are having some largely fine weather. It's a different story in the east. Here we have the risk of some heavy showers, which could bring some thunder, even some high rainfall totals, causing problems across parts of Greece, Bulgaria and into Turkey as well. Like I said, though, further west, it's a drier picture, some showery bursts around, but also a decent amount of sunshine on offer. And in the sunshine, it's going to feel pretty warm, if not hot as well.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's been a bit of a drab day out there and it's going to turn increasingly wet and windy across northern areas before sunshine and showers and feeling a little bit fresher through Sunday. So taking a look at the bigger picture, we've got this area of low pressure moving in, a squeeze in the isobars indicating some strong and gusty winds. So it's an unsettled picture out there tonight with heavy spells of rain, most persistent and heaviest across Scotland, with strong gusty winds and perhaps some coastal gales. In between, there will be some clearer spells, but otherwise, generally, temperatures still holding up 10 to 12 degrees. So quite a mild start to start Sunday morning, but an unsettled start, especially across Scotland. Here we'll see the longest spells of rain, especially across northern parts of Scotland and Orkney and Shetland. Otherwise, further south, we may see some glimmers of sunshine first thing. Across Northern Ireland, it's a case of sunny spells and scattered showers through the morning. England and Wales generally much brighter than Saturday, but there is some patchy outbreaks of rain across the far southeast to start Sunday morning. That rain will clear its way through, turning drier and brighter across the southeastern parts of England, but elsewhere it is a day of sunny spells and frequent blustery showers. Some of the showers are going to be heavy, perhaps thundery, with some hail, especially across northern areas. Otherwise, for all of us, it is a fresher feel out there with a slight change in the wind direction, but in the sunshine, feeling pleasant, 22 degrees in the south and east. So generally not as mild to start Monday morning, but plenty of sunny spells to start. Then we'll see further showers across much of the country, driest across the east before further spells of rain come in to the west. And that's a similar picture on Tuesday and Wednesday, dry, mixed with sunny spells, but generally temperatures highs of 21.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We've just had a top-up on our pints and Kai's already smothered through his first because he butchered it so badly. He pulled his own pint, by the way. I don't know if you can zoom in on that shot there. You can see how big the head was. No, the head went all the way to the top of that pint, just so you know. Absolute disgrace. It's now time for High Five, where we discuss our favourite moments of the past week. So I'm going to kick us off. I saw this video, and I tell you what, I love the royal family. I'm a big, big fan of the royals. And you know what? I just love seeing them in situations where, you know, you just don't expect to see them. And just take a look at this. Take a look at this.
I'm your father. I'm 9 years old and my father. We're hanging out with the father. But me, the one of Savannah. Cat with a back up in them wheelies. Skinning my bed, 2000 easy. It's empty, cookie, you know me. Long time I haters, you'll never beat me.
Queen Camilla there, sat watching a 9-year-old rapping in Bradford, of all the places. I mean, you just couldn't make that up.
That was
If you imagine
surreal.
you put Camilla rapping Bradford into the same news story, and I just thought, this is just too good to be true, isn't it? It's too good.
I was hoping that she was going to take the mic.
A
rap battle.
What is Camilla on the mic?
Oh, no,
that'd be cool. I'd like that.
You know what? I reckon she'd be up for it. I think she's quite down to earth.
Have you met Camilla?
I have met Camilla, and my mum is actually friends with Camilla, but I met Aunt Queen on Remembrance Day. I know what, she is a real hoot.
Yeah, we can get her on the show for a pint at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I don't know whether she want a pint. She might want a nice
want a glass of wine.
Something a bit better than this one.
You'd have to get the fine china out of GB News cabinet somewhere. Some deep, dark bunker somewhere we've stored those. Alexander, what have you got for us with your high five this week?
Well, mine's quite good news for me. Reform, people are more likely to date someone in Reform than Conservatives. So, as a single man, absolutely.
Yeah. So I was reading this story out earlier on the weekend, earlier today, and it's basically lined up all this polling information about who people would rather date, depending on whether they indicate preferences for political parties. What was very interesting is that the Tories, of all the major political parties, came rock bottom. Nigel Farage's party came just after them, which I think is saying something. I think we're talking about under 40s here. You know, younger people. The Conservative brand is just so toxic. Young people don't even want to touch it anymore. But guess who was second on that poll? Can you have a guess?
Green Party?
It was the Green Party. Wow. So have you
No, I just figured that would be. Who was number one then?
God. Well, number one was Labour. By 1%.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
So
I would have thought Green would
if we thought the future looked bright, unfortunately, it looks green. There we go. Kai, have you had any luck on your dating profile? You put Labour on there. You put a picture of Keir Starmer and you, like AI together, maybe like having a little...
Merge into one.
Having a cuddle. I mean, God, if you followed Twitter this week, you'd imagine that might be the case for Keir Starmer. No, I tried to keep politics away from my dating life.
OK, all right then.
That was enough said on that one.
Yeah,
I actually Reform are more popular on the dating because Nigel's a phenomena on TikTok.
He is, by young
And a lot of the
people.
younger lot have really got into watching.
I think the reason why that Reform one is so much low is because you get those shy reformers. The shy reformers that don't want to declare that they're reform in case they get all that abuse from lefties on their on their dating profiles. And some people just aren't political, are they, at the end of the day, so they don't put it on there, but there we go. Lizzie, what's your uplifting story?
Well, as I was brought up with nuns and I'm a Roman Catholic, I was so happy to see our Pope Leo, who was in his Pope-mobile, the first outing, and he was blessing 2 babies in front of a huge crowd.
Have a look at this on the screen now. Yeah, you can see it right here as we're talking over it.
Brilliant.
But it's nice to have a young Pope, isn't it? A younger Pope, because he's agile, he's out there. How old is he?
69.
Maria, my producer, will tell me 69. There you go. That's quite young for a Pope, actually, believe it or not. He's close to retirement age in the UK.
One more year to retirement,
It is.
Look, well, no retirement in this job, is there? Until you die. But look, it's so lovely to see that move along so quickly, isn't it, with that new Pope?
Indeed, and he's American. I wonder if J.D. Vance had a little key word when he went to see the
previous
late Pope Francis.
A young Pope I can abide. An American Pope, I'm not so sure.
Trey, you a religious man?
Kidding.
Yeah, very. It's just
Catholic?
Yeah, Catholic. My background's Catholic, so yeah, I love that. I love seeing that. I think there needs to be more religion, as we spoke about last time, in society. I think it's so heartwarming seeing that.
And imagine that baby when he grows up said, I was blessed
Exactly.
by the Pope.
And one of the first ones.
First
Exactly.
Alexander, have you ever been baptised?
I was actually baptised. Yeah.
Catholic, Protestant?
Catholic.
There you go.
Ah,
So we've got the Catholics.
Catholics.
You know what? I didn't realise there's so many Catholics in Britain. I thought we got rid of them more about 100 to 200 years ago. But apparently they're making a comeback.
A few thousand escaped during
My producer has been trying to convert me now for the last 6 weeks. I'm umming and ahhing about it because the Church of England is just absolutely doomed, in my opinion.
It is. But honestly, a lot of younger generation are going back to church.
Yeah, they are. Big uptick there. Trey, what have you got for us?
So mine is it's a bit of an animal one. So you've got these cute little salamanders. Have we got no images of a salamander?
I don't know. We're about to find out.
The cutest little thing. So it's an axolotl salamander.
No salamanders.
And basically, it's looking at the possibility of growing body parts. So everything we're saying about castrations earlier, if we did physical ones, the salamanders might be very popular on eBay, isn't it? At that point. But yeah,
so salamanders can regrow.
So basically, salamanders have the ability. You probably know more than me because you're probably a bigger.
I'm a bit of an animal fan. I was on the youth forum forum for the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds as a teenager.
Of course you were.
Of the
Of course you were. I bet you were a right laugh to be mates with.
You are, yeah, shut up.
Do you need binoculars out?
But no, it's a great story, you know. I mean, can you imagine in the future, it may not be in my lifetime, I'm a bit too old, but when you can start growing body parts. And
regenerating limbs.
And people start living for 250 years.
We've got robotic limbs.
Kind of exciting, isn't it? AI.
Even better.
Remember the Bionic Man?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, there you go. There we go.
Great story.
Yeah, I better stop now on that one because I will take it too far. Kyle, what have you got for us?
Oh, I saw these pictures that I think we're going to show up on screen of some vintage Grand Prix pictures from the old Monaco Grand Prix. I thought I'd show these because we've got the Monaco Grand Prix taking place tomorrow, and then two things made me really think this has to be the one, and we have to show these pictures. Number one, Lando Norris is on pole for tomorrow, which means we have a Brit in first place. And we all know Monaco is not a track where you really can overtake very much. But then I found out that our very own Lizzie Cundy had a history as a grid girl herself. Which, I mean, I have indeed.
Any pictures?
Really have,
I have indeed. So I thought, you know, the pictures, and then I'd love to hear.
Oh, there's a little dig up on me next week.
What was it like?
Oh, it was a wonderful time of my life. It was so exciting and fun. And I remember just meeting Ayrton Senna, and he said, "You're my
It's
pole
incredible.
girl."
Oh, wow.
And I was honestly, we met so many people, made a great living, had a great time, and just wish the good girls were still about.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I'm sure Lando Norris wishes they were still about as well, but at least he's got something
He's
to
not
look
here
forward
to defend
tomorrow.
himself, just for the record. He's not here to defend himself. You never know, right? Let's read out some of your says here as well. Claire here said, good point, Claire, by the way. I think this is absolutely right. As Nana said to the same interview, the person we just interviewed, Sarah, a while ago, Ozempic proves that people aren't naturally obese and that they lose weight when they eat less. There you have it. That is from Claire there.
She's right.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, that's what you were saying, Alexander. Right?
Absolutely right.
It's not. There's no such thing as natural obesity. Well, I don't think we had obese cavemen, did we?
No. I don't know why it's all being normalised. Of course it's not natural, and there's nothing wrong with saying that.
People who are more genetically predisposed to maybe put on weight.
True, yeah.
But anybody can eat less and train more, and that's the bottom.
And it does worry me that everyone's getting these jabs, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't know what
they do long term,
What will happen.
I actually quite like the
years.
thought of someone saying, "Come on, you fat so-and-so, lose weight." Is it just me? Is it my generation?
There's a male
Because that would motivate me personally.
I do miss those shows. We've gone so woke.
Yeah, everything's so politically correct.
How much
It's like lad banter that you can just say, "Oh, you're getting a bit fat now, mate."
If I'm ever in a gym, you say to me, "You fat so-and-so, lose the weight," it motivates me.
But people used to always say to me, "I'm too skinny," and it was all right to say you were skinny, but you can't say you're fat.
That's so true. John, on this point here, John Paul Parker from your state says, I was skinny all my life. I had left knee surgery in July 2019 and right knee surgery was cancelled because of COVID. I was laid up for about 2.5 years with limited mobility. I've gained 8 stone eating normally, but couldn't exercise. From personal experience, eat less, exercise more, works. There you have it.
Sounds
absolutely
like siding with me there.
Yeah, well, there you go. I do think that's pretty much common sense. You're with the Saturday 5 coming up after the break.
I'm sorry, I don't have a plane to give you.
I wish you did. I would take.
Which of those two world leaders was throwing a tantrum? Find out. I think we probably know who it is. Find out after the break for more trigger tantrums. You're watching Saturday 5 only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here We do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. Maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Nigel is back.
Good evening.
Unfiltered.
Are these proposals bold enough?
Uncompromising.
Will it bring growth?
Unmissable.
We as a country are brilliant.
Nigel Farage returns. Coming soon. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Okay, well, welcome back to the Saturday 5 Extra, everybody. I promise there's not much longer to go. We're almost through our second pints now, so it's going to, could get off the rails from this point here. Let's have a quick look at yours. So before we move in, Susan, I sympathise with this. Just I wish we could grow more teeth, so I've got crowns and fillings. Yeah, well, yeah, you only get those twice in your life. So Richard, so where's the talk about the GB strike that you have promised all day? Richard, you're tuning in 3 hours late, buddy. I reported it this morning and I reported it this evening. Watch back an hour ago and you'll find out where it was. Barbara says, it's proven fact 4 different genes causing propensity to be obese. If you starve yourself, you don't get proper nutrition. But I would imagine that none of you would understand that. A dearth of grey matter tonight. Check the dictionary. Woo, Barbara.
Wow. Usually Dr. Renee gives us all the grey matter we need.
No, but
well, OK, look, before we just natter on about rubbish, let's look at our next triggered tantrums. Who has got the next one for us? I think it might be you, Trey.
Yep, and this is we've got some VT here, about a woman who's celebrating, basically, the murder of the 2 Israeli embassy staffers. And I think what's sad to me about this is all killing should be abhorrent. I think it's sad that someone would celebrate it like it's a good thing, no matter where you stand on the debate. I think it's a tragedy, and I think when are we going to get to the point where every life is precious on every single side? Do you know, I absolutely am gutted and saddened by what's happening in Gaza, and at the same time also sad for what's happening with the hostages that are still there. So I think when people celebrate it, all it does is perpetuate it. There are no heroes in this, you know.
Well, let's take a quick look at it, shall we?
So she's basically saying, I think, something like the guy, whoever goes to prison, I'll be there, I'll look after him, that kind of thing. Celebrating the fact that
she'll keep supporting the people who killed those 2 Israeli it's
just sad,
You know what? We saw that. There's another person in America that committed a murder recently about the health insurance murder, the CEO that was killed. And I find this is a really disturbing trend of idolising people that commit the most heinous crime, taking someone's life. Those 2 people were just doing their job at the end of the day. They didn't commit
And that's what's sad, exactly.
They were not supporting the government. They don't write the policies. They're just probably administrative staff, and they've been unfairly targeted by what I would say is an absolute fanatic. But it also shows you when you let these things go on for too long and there's not enough policing around and not enough full stops going, OK, we heard what you have to say, let's move this conversation on. It starts to become radical.
It does.
And that's what we saw with Just Stop Oil and all those green fanatics. They started blocking roads, blocking ambulances, stopping people from getting to work.
And lives were lost.
Lives were lost. And we don't count those, do we? We don't count those, do we? But what do you make of it, Kai?
I think on all sides, actually, there's been just a lack of respect and lack of understanding of people as individuals.
Yeah.
Now, this couple who worked in the Israeli embassy, were due to get engaged next week, right? And I think on both sides, you forget, actually, that these people
it's heartbreaking.
Have a life that you might not associate with their political beliefs or whatever they do, but tough shit.
Yeah,
really.
but they have families.
Your life
I have to apologise for your language.
Yeah, you can apologise.
Yeah,
I stick by it. Look, I think people really need to have a good, long look at themselves in the mirror sometimes when they say the things they do about people who are just doing their job or just getting on with their lives.
No, it's heartbreaking, and they've got families.
They've got families. And people just assume because they have a certain nationality that they support what's going on. That's not true. It's like saying I supported the war in Iraq. I didn't.
And some of the most passionate speakers on what Israel is doing at the minute in Gaza are so many Jewish activists across the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't agree with what's being done, but also can disagree and can speak out about the anti-Semitism they face as a result.
It's one of those issues which the country is very divided on at the moment, but no matter which side of it you fall on, we should never celebrate any murder.
I mean, I've got the night of October the 7th, there were people celebrating.
Well, there were people organising a protest on the night of October the 7th in support of Gaza that hadn't even been attacked at that point. I just find that absolutely incredible. But you know what? I tell you what, as a British person, I'm genuinely quite sick and tired of foreign wars that have nothing to do with this country being played out at the cost of the taxpayer for multi-millions of pounds every week. And policing is costing our safety. At some point, you've made your point, OK? The British government have done this Labour Party have done far more than any government have in terms of supporting at least the pro-Palestine group. But, you know, where does it end? You know, where does it... And that's all I'll say. We just carry on and on.
It needs to stop. I'm sorry. And disrespecting our own values and cultures as well.
It even came into when I was in Doncaster at the candidacy for my unveiling. We had a Palestinian people shouting "Free Palestine" numerous times.
Yeah, what's it got to do with an election?
Nothing to do with an election campaign.
Sorry, we've got to move on because Kai's got his last tantrum to show us. Go on.
It's another Trump tantrum. Now, it's got to the point in the presidency of the United States that African leaders are taking the mickey out of Donald Trump for essentially bribery and corruption. Let's take a look at this video.
Idiot talks about after viewing a thing where thousands of people are dead.
I'm sorry, I don't have a plane to give you.
I wish you did. I take it. I would take it. If your country offered the United States Air Force a plane, I would take it.
Okay.
Yes, that's the president of South Africa.
What was he saying?
So he was saying to Donald Trump, if I had a plane to gift you, I would give it to you. And Donald Trump says, yes, well, if you had a free plane to give us, we would take it. Now, Ramaphosa is taking the mick out of Donald Trump, saying that essentially, sorry, we don't have a big enough bung to give you because you're becoming so corrupt, it's like a third world country. I mean, isn't it shocking to see the depths
Get
of Trump?
over it.
We'll
Get over it. I mean, if this country could get something for free without having to pay for giving away things, that would be a good start, Kai. I'd rather our country was in a position where we were getting things for free from people than handing them away and then giving them away.
Giving them away.
And we're going to give you money for the pleasure of it, Lizzie. Why don't you take this island and we'll pay you for it?
Just give it to him.
I mean, that's the comparison he wants to draw. I mean, I'm happy to have it out with you. Go on.
Trump puts his own, people and country first. Unlike Keir Starmer, the first order of any government is put their people first. And Keir Starmer's not doing that.
Trey, very quickly, what do you think?
I think in that is true. I think he was a little bit disrespectful to the South African leader, definitely. I mean, come on. When you look at the history of South Africa, it wasn't really a fair, balanced look at it, you know? I mean, millions or tens of thousands of black Africans
give me the plane and it'll be OK. I want the jet, OK. I want the jet. Thank you to all of the guests on the What a great panel it's been tonight, hey? What a fantastic panel. Alexander Jones, Reform Council, Lizzie Kennedy knows the new introduction, BBC Apprentice star Trey Lowe, Woke Warrior Kai Wilshaw. It's been a great fun having you all tonight. Of course, keep your comments coming through on your sake, because Ben Leo is coming up very, very shortly. And I'm sure he's got some bombshell news for you, as well as that breaking news that he always does in his second hour, because you want to stick around for that stuff. Let's see if we can get Ben down the line for us now. Ben, what have you got for us?
I'm just 2 yards away, Alex, in the studio, so we're not that advanced.
You're meant to pretend that you're sat a miles away from me, mate.
I do have some breaking news for the 9 o'clock hour. In the last few minutes or so, Donald Trump, President Trump in America, it's been revealed that he sent over 5 officials from the US State Department to Britain on a fact-finding mission because they are so concerned about the erosion of free speech in the UK. And also, elsewhere in the show, I visited the UK street with the fewest number of English speakers. Can you guess where it is? No prizes if you guess correctly. Back in just a tick with a big 2 hours coming up, including the first of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. First, though, here's your weather.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's been a bit of a drab day out there and it's going to turn increasingly wet and windy across northern areas before sunshine and showers and feeling a little bit fresher through Sunday. So taking a look at the bigger picture, we've got this area of low pressure moving in, a squeeze in the isobars indicating some strong and gusty winds. So it's an unsettled picture out